Good afternoon, everybody. It is a wonderful day here in rainy Southern Ontario, Canada. It's been raining for days. We've had our first few big thunderstorms down here. It's been a real riot down here. And welcome to Scouching Live. It's lovely to be back. AJ sends his regards. He couldn't join us today. He's tending to a family matter today, so he is out. I gave him the day off to deal with some stuff at home. So all the best to him and the fam. You know, nothing too crazy. But yeah, no AJ today, unfortunately. No bullying. So you get me on my own for the next 2 hours ish, and depending on however much you wanna chat. Obviously, huge day for Canada. Jeremy Hansen, one of the greats, already enshrined as a great Canadian, the first Canadian to leave orbit, and he's riding a rocket on the way to the moon at the moment, which is pretty incredible. I'm still waiting for his reply on Instagram to interview him on the show, but that's okay. He's got bigger things to worry about, like going to the moon. We're not quite there yet, but maybe if we hit on a few more 7th round draft picks, if we hit on a few more 7th round draft picks for team scouting, then maybe I'll be able to rival his life's accomplishments, with all the degrees and flight training and actual education, rather than yapping experience, but maybe I'll be able to close that gap. But anyway, welcome to the show. Obviously, we are in the middle of report season. It is, we got one coming out tomorrow. We had one yesterday on Malte Gustafsson, I believe. Subscribers to Scouching.ca have access to the next two as well. One will drop tomorrow. The other will drop on Monday. I will be recording a couple more tomorrow, but then I got to catch up on some data guys that I'm almost done, but I haven't finished yet. There's also a few that I actually finished, but I don't want to do yet. I want to save them for later in the year, so that might be a little bit difficult, but we're gonna give it a go anyway. But anyway, who have we looked at? Since AJ's not here, I can do whatever I want. I mean, he is here; he's in the chat, but let's see. In the last few days, by that I mean like over the last week since the last time I was on by myself, as I stall for time here. There it is. There we go. All right, who have we taken a look at recently? I mean, I don't know if I've mentioned any of these. Evan Jardine recently, Caleb Malhotra, Oliver Suvanto, Victor Plant, Samu Alalaure, Viggo Bjork, Chase Reed, Simas Ignatievicius, Daxon Rudolph, Xavier Villeneuve, now that he's back from injury, Ivar Stenberg, Keaton Verhoff, Gleb Pugachev, Mathis Preston, Tynan Lawrence, Elton Hermanson, Callum Croskery, Matvey Kotkov, Joe Erickson, high school. We went to a high school athlete. Braden Thompson, my sweet summer child, Jacob Vanacek, or Jakub Vanacek, considering he is European, and no European is named Jacob. Come on. Thomas Vandenberg, who else? Noah Tamu, Tommy Blale, Adam Anderson, Adam Valentini. We went Adam to Adam. Ben Macbeth, Georgios Pantelis, I forgot what I listened to the commentary yesterday when I did that game, and I totally have already forgotten how to pronounce his name. JC Lemieux, Nicholas Aram Olsen, and that's it. You gotta forgive me. I was up late last night. Everything I did yesterday, I was up late last night. It's just gone. But anyway, I was fixing bugs in the draft simulator. Look at this thing. I mean, it looks exactly the same, but we had some bugs, and so I was bug hunting last night. Very slowly but surely, I'm putting the pieces together on kind of how JavaScript works. But from what I understand, especially talking to my cousins who are much smarter than me and tech savvy than me, asking them about JavaScript, it's not uncommon for them to basically say it's the quantum mechanics of computer engineering, because you think you understand it and you don't, and then you study it for days and days and years, and you still are like, I know less than I knew going in, because nothing makes sense and reality can't possibly be like this. And with JavaScript, I'm definitely in that like rise in the Dunning-Kruger curve at the beginning, where like the information uptake is very, very high. And I remember those days on this channel. Oldies remember back in the day, the Dunning-Kruger ramp. The euphoria initially is pretty good, and then the crash happens and it sucks. And I'm not there yet with JavaScript, but I know if there's something that I can fix, little tweaks here and there, I'm doing it, and it isn't failing. So we're going somewhere. We're learning slowly but surely. But in any case, which is becoming a thing I'm actually, I don't know what the word is, a phrase that you use as a crutch. In any case, I think it's working really well. I think it's pretty good as it is for the single player. We're going to move on to the multiplayer over the next week or so. I have reports to film and data packages to work on, so we're there. We're working through some stuff. It's busy season pretty much from now until like the middle of July. So strap in, everybody. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, thank you for being around, I guess. Thanks for being a friend, to quote an excellent television program. But in any case, let's get into the show. We're having some fun. It's a fun day. Given that Keith Pelly has stated that the Leafs will be looking for a general manager with an analytics background, would you be applying for the job? I mean, look, I think you know what? It wouldn't hurt to spoof Keith Pelly's email, which is, I think, very possible, and send him a package, send him a resume, a CV, so to speak, a portfolio to see what he thinks if he even clicks on the email. I think I got to think of a really catchy email subject line to sort of cut through the chaff and catch his attention. But when I have done it before, spoofing emails of people. And just cold calling through email, and it is a very mixed bag, I'll tell you that. But hey, if it's the only way, then it's the only way. Would I want to be the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs today? No, I don't think I would. If he responded to that email being like, come in for an interview to be general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs, I would probably think that they're in trouble. I should not be hired as a general manager today. I'm not that arrogant and absurd in my evaluation of my own abilities. But what I did do was create a report, essentially. I know I'm saying the naughty word, but I used artificial intelligence to create a pretty comprehensive report on like what the first 100 days of a general manager should look like, using like well-established management practices in business in general and like what to do. And so that was kind of fun flipping through that, because a lot of it did make sense, and I think a lot of it was kind of interesting, but it does not make me qualified in the least. So we're not going there. But if they called and said, hey, whatever. I mean, hey, I'm a GO train ride away from Scotiabank Arena. It would be very easy and convenient, and it would be a lot of fun. Yeah, they would be the smallest team in the league by a mile, with Kieran Walton on the wing and Gustav Hillstrom up the middle, and yeah, they'd be the smallest team in the whole world. Because we definitely. I mean, they would. I mean, the pipeline for Team Scouching is the smallest in the league. But I have more bigger players than like Colorado in the system. I'm grasping at straws here. All right, cut me some slack. But yeah, we're 4 centimeters away from being the not smallest group of players in the league. But that said, 8% of them are in my B category, and 9.1 for Winnipeg. So we're not that small. It's just we have a lot of smaller players and some bigger ones. Oh yeah, Skvortsov is in here too, and he's turning out awful so far. So clearly, when I draft big players, they also are bad. So I don't know what that means. You tell me. But anyway, look, I mean, if they call, I'll pick up the phone. Why not? I guess I have some level of value, I mean, right now in my model, the Toronto Maple Leafs are 28th in the league in terms of pipeline value. And for me, I am at 15th, and I use their draft picks. So that's not so bad. Pretty happy with that. Anyway. We're not the New York Islanders, though. We're not the New York Islanders. Pretty much the Islanders are way ahead of everybody else. And even if you take away Schaefer, actually, they're doing really, really well. They have a lot of really productive and successful players in a lot of ways, which is not entirely what I expected, but it's really cool to see. All right, anyway. But the short answer to your question is I'll shoot them an email, but I don't expect anything. Especially because the last email I got from someone with the Toronto Maple Leafs where I cold called them basically called me an idiot. So there's that. Yeah. But we don't need to go there. And it was a name you'd all recognize, and it was really, really, really embarrassing. Thoughts on Ryan Lynn going to Denver? You think Carl can help fix his issues? I mean, it's the perfect spot for him. I don't know why Ryan Lynn would consider anything more than, like, if it's such a perfect fit for a guy like him. I don't know why. Maybe UMass would make a lot of sense for a guy like him. Boston University could have been good. Any sort of skill forward schools that are like that. Maybe like a Western Michigan too, but he doesn't seem fully up their alley. But like, I don't know. I heard some I didn't say anything about it, but like I heard some stuff from a few people about Lynn going into this, and the destinations all made a lot of sense. But the thing about the college thing, and I think this is going to be really interesting to watch. And so it's interesting to see from an outside perspective, Lynn choosing a school that I think makes a lot of sense for him. But you're already, I think, seeing it. Like, you're seeing top-end schools that have recruitment offers to absolutely everybody, that players are starting to realize that, like, ice time might be a little bit tough to come by, and spending 1 or 2 seasons, like, on the fourth line or in and out of a lineup on a really high-end college program is probably not a very good position to be in. And so for guys to sort of spread out a little bit more and look sort of at, like, it's like, is it more valuable to play 22 minutes a game as a defenseman, for example, on insert mid-level program out there, right? Obviously the resources would need to be good, but would you rather that or, 8-10 minutes a night on Michigan State or Michigan for a year and maybe going from there? The answer to that, I don't know. I think it depends on the player, and it depends on the system, and depends on the schools they're interested in. But I think environment matters a lot, and I believe personally that if I were an agent, I would be very selective about the school you go to, and really, really make sure that the developmental environment is really positive. So there's that. But it's good. I think it's a good spot for him. And I don't know if I would worry so much about Carl, like, fixing his issues so much as, like, encouraging him to be the best version of himself. Like, Ryan Lynn has a very high ceiling, I think. Like, his top end, like, bull case scenario, to steal a finance term, which for the purposes of hockey, there's 1-to-1s basically a lot of the time. But, like, his bull case is so strong, but the execution risk is kind of high. So I feel a lot more comfortable with that execution risk with a guy like David Carl at the helm, because what I've seen of him and heard from him, I think he's one of the better coaches that isn't in the NHL. And like, if I were taking over a hockey team that was like, we want to do a long-term, retool/rebuild. We're going to stick with you for 5 years and call it a day, sign a coach that you trust and start from scratch. Or it was an expansion team, for example. I'd be calling David Carl and being like, hey man, I know you want long-term stability for an NHL job, and I can give it to you, man. Like, let's build something here. Let's start from scratch. Let's work together to get something off the ground, because what he's done in Denver, I think, is phenomenal over the last however long he's been there. It feels like he's been there forever. So yeah, I don't mind it. Thoughts on Sheikh-Lislamov, which is one of the best names in the draft. A Russian guy named Allen, for starters, but the last name Sheikh-Lislamov. Adam Anderson and Noel Pakarinen. Yeah, I mean, I like Sheikh Lislamov. I think he is an interesting sort of finishing first scorer who he's very young, obviously has had a pretty productive season this year. Whenever I watch him, it's one of these things, right? Like when you watch a lot of hockey players and then you watch the NHL, you go like, all right, is this Sheikh Lislamov guy gonna likely be a bottom six guy in the NHL? Probably not. There's not that much physical jam in his game. He's much more of an open ice skater and drives play himself, and he is moderately physical and like he's comes alive a little bit in the offensive zone, but in the games that I've seen, which are pretty much exclusively against good teams in that conference, which there aren't many in Russia, I just have been really kind of underwhelmed with the upside there. But he's another one where it's like I have him ranked, like he's on the watch list because I think that there's something there. Like there are some tools, especially scoring wise, that might be projectable, but I just don't think his profile is super all around like very projectable. Anderson, on the other hand, I love. We just did a game of Adam Anderson the other day in the server, and he was amazingly good. Like he has all of a sudden, I think in the last few months, like he woke up one morning and was like, oh, I'm 6'5" and really skilled or whatever. I'm 6'3" and really skilled. I should probably take more of an assertive job on this team. And he is doing it. Like he is working inside playmaking so much better. He's going to the net and getting scoring chances so much better. I would have loved to see him with the men's team here and there, but I guess, I get it. They were fighting to stay in the SHL, which they failed at, and they're going to be in Hockey Allsvenskan next year, which is exactly where I'd want a guy like Anderson. Like, honestly, most of those Leksand guys, I think are going to be in a really, really, really good spot next year. It's a step down in level of competition, but I think you're going to see what a lot of their young guys are capable of, because I would feel a lot more comfortable playing guys like Anderson, Lagerberg, Hohen, Rocky Langvard. Who else am I thinking of here? They have a lot of interesting young players, and I would love to see them bring some of them up and see what they can do at the second division and sort of fight their way back to the SHL. I mean, I don't think that group would do it, but I think you would see some really interesting stuff out of them. Yeah, like Rocky Langvard will probably be there. He captained the junior team this year. Zachy Crooks in the Hockey Allsvenskan could be really interesting. Tinus Koblar, it seems like he's going to be going back. August Lissel there would be really fun to watch. Pax Kleffner maybe, but that's a little less likely. But yeah, Anderson is among that group. Rasmus Odonos, or whatever his name is. He's another one that I think would be an interesting one to see maybe touch that league a little bit next year. So yeah, I mean, but I love Anderson. I think Anderson is one of the more underrated centers in the draft. Like he's big and strong, but really skilled. And when he's one of those guys when it's like, when you see him at his best, you go, whoa, okay, all right. And there's a lot of that. It's at the junior level. Internationally, he's kind of used pretty sparingly, so you don't get a ton of looks there. But he'll be on the under-18 team. I would be surprised if he wasn't. And I think he'll be a good part of that. And Pakarinen, I've never really been huge into Pakarinen. The guys that I do like, I actually, it was funny, like, because Pakarinen was one of the best players or highest ranked Central Scouting players that I had never seen before when the last list came out. And, Gavin Garland's going to Ferris State University. That'll be fun. And I already forgot what we were doing. Noel Pakarinen. Like, the guys I was actually more impressed with on that team, and I don't think I would actually go out and draft either of them, but it was Apo Katavisto, who's a re-entry. He was eligible last year, the guy who's leading the team in scoring. Katavisto and Ate Vuori are the two guys that have really, watching that team, really stood out. Vuori is small and very, very speedy and very skilled, but he's not on the list. But he's a guy who I could see next year swinging back on him and seeing something good there. Katavisto, I really like him. He's young for re-entry as well. I tracked a couple games in Liga and a game in the junior level. I mean, I don't think there's a ton of upside there, but he's a hardworking guy. You can't fault the effort level. You can't fault the grind in his game. Like, he's one of these guys that brings a lot of energy and brings a lot of just raw physicality, while not being super small. And I think there's a little bit of something there, but nothing too incredible. But yeah, the overall abilities there are a little bit not awesome. But as a watch list guy for me, I think he belongs for sure, and could be an interesting Finn to watch over the next little while. It's dumping snow in Calgary. That's too bad. I look like I can beatbox. Well, you are incorrect, my friend. I am really good at opening boxes and eating the food that's in a box, but no. Do you feel a bit of sadness knowing us Shark fans won't check in as much, given it seems we won't be a lottery team anymore? No, because other teams are going to show up. We're getting Vancouver. We're getting a lot of traffic from Vancouver in the last little while. So look, I mean, Sharks fans are always welcome here. They do have draft picks, but you know, this is a therapist's office at the end of the day, and if you don't need your therapist anymore, then good for you. But there's always, especially in a fixed market like a 32-team professional sports league, someone has to be bad, and just because it's not you doesn't mean that you're gonna be bad forever, and someone else is gonna be bad. So unfortunately, I will miss Sharks fans because they're a lovely bunch, and we all loved that they picked up the guys that they have over the years, Smith and Eklund and Celebrini and yada yada yada, which is great. Askarov, but someone else will be lottery teams, and look, it builds the audience. We get more markets curious about the draft and all that. So I know you're a Sharks fan, so I'm glad you're still here, and I would love to have every Sharks fan that's watched this show in here every day. But there will be replacements. There will be reinforcements, I think. Who is the better prospect in their draft year, Reshny or Malhotra? I think that's Reshny. I think Reshny is similar. I think Reshny is similar to Malhotra. He's just not as big. I think with Reshny, I think Reshny was a better defensive player as well. And the numbers with Reshny last year they blow Malhotra out of the water. He was a ruthless offensive presence on a worse team than Brantford. Malhotra, I'm still stunned over the course of the sample that I have on him, which is almost done, by the way. His ability to actually generate threatening offense at 5-on-5 is way lower than I thought it would be, even after the last few games where I've seen him. Like, it's just when I track teams against good teams as much as I can. And when Brantford's playing tough competition, Malhotra is a pretty good offensive driver. He's very good under pressure. There's a bit of skill. There's some good playmaking. But you don't see it at 5-on-5 nearly as much in terms of actually creating dangerous offense in the offensive zone. He gets some good scoring chances for himself, but with Reshny, he was so much more active and inside driven, and at least on a more common basis. It's just with Reshny, he's smaller, so his style might not project as well as maybe a Malhotra. Like, I like Reshny more as a player, but there's a little bit more comfort in what Malhotra brings because he has some better physical projection tools. But after seeing Reshny this year, like, he was great. The couple times I've seen him this year, I thought he would look great with North Dakota, and that's a great spot for a guy like that. So, yeah, feeling pretty good about Reshny. Did you watch any of Valentini's tournament games? Yes, the game we tracked was the final against Minnesota Duluth. Was it something like that? But he was Valentini's really weird. Like, I like what he's got. He is, I think, one of the most underratedly feisty pieces of crap in the draft. And I mean that with all due respect. With respect, I mean that. He's a bit of a pesky little guy. And, shoving guys, throwing hits, and maybe finishing his checks maybe a little bit extra oomph. He's got a bit of that peskiness to him, that little fly that you can't get rid of type energy, and I kind of dig that about him. the skill level is obviously there. The problem with Valentini is I kind of get a little bit of like a almost like a Noel Gunler type vibe out of him, where it's like, some people could really love him, and I could see why you really put him high on the list, but then you sort of watch shift in, shift out, and the skill is undeniable. It's certainly there. There's lots and lots of certainly talent. He's a pretty quick skater. His skill level is great. He's got a good shot, but he doesn't play offensively in a projectable way. Like, he doesn't grind his way to the middle of the ice. He's entering the offensive zone, pulling the puck behind his back foot, and instead of like challenging the defender, he's just popping it directly on net from the boards on the offensive entry. Like, he's doing the Euro thing that everybody in my world hates. It's like you do all the work to get the puck in the offensive zone, and then you just put it on net, or put it into the net, or like the netting, not the net itself, or you miss the net and they're coming. It's just a waste of your possession. It's a waste of the hard work that you've done. And I just haven't seen as much, control and I guess you could say, I don't know about if the word is dominance, but like extended possession with Valentini that I really want to see. He can create turnovers below the goal line, get the puck out in front, and all this other stuff, but that doesn't come out very often. So with Valentini, like, my thought is that, like, I could see Valentini being a guy that Carolina drafts in the 4th round or something, because it's like he was really a highly coveted OHL draft prospect. They might be buying the dip because the perception on him is really low because of what he did to Kitchener. He's been productive in college, and that matters. The models are good for that, and he's not producing at 5-on-5. So there's upside there. And if their scouts recognize the feistiness and the intensity in his game, they go, well, that's not something you hear reported about very much. And so maybe we could even buy low on that too, because everybody's not even noticing that. They just see a guy who abandoned his OHL team after 2 days after they grinded to bring him to town, pissed everybody off, went to a really good college program, played fine, and nobody likes him anymore, right? Like, he's ranked to be a mid to late round draft pick, so like, why not take a swing on that, right? Whereas I agree with that. That would be a case where I would agree with it. But my thought is I would definitely lean into more of what he's doing at this level that really is intriguing, which is that just being a bit of a jerk, like running guys cleanly, throwing hits, being that sort of forechecker who is physical and reliable and energetic and also very skilled. Like, there's something there. And if that's not in your top 50, that's fine, but I would be more than happy to add that somewhere in the mid rounds if that's legitimately where he's going to go. Does Malhotra have the habits and upside to be a number 1 center? I don't think so. I mean, I always have seen Malhotra as like a good middle 6, top 9 guy. I just don't like his defensive game nearly enough to be a guy where I trust him on both sides of the puck for 20-something minutes a night, and being a guy who I would line up against Nathan McKinnon, right? Like, you got to think about it from the perspective of, in my mind, a number 1 center is someone who's comfortable getting into the face-off dot first minute of the game, and you're lining them up opposite Connor McDavid or Macklin Celebrini or whatever. And if there's doubt in your mind that they could be comfortable doing that, then you're probably right? Like, even with Macklin Celebrini, it was like, I certainly could see him being a number 1 center for sure. It's just like, there's little things that need to improve, and those things immediately improved, quicker than I expected, and I think quicker than even they expected from what I heard from San Jose. So at the end of the day, like, I think with Malhotra, like, and the other thing too, and I've said this many times on the show, but if you're new, that's fine. Like, I always set my bar lower for players. Like, I just always, and it's not because I don't believe in them, but it's like, you're dealing with children, and the NHL is so much further away in terms of quality of play from where almost all of these guys are playing, that it's just a different universe. And so I don't like laying expectations on players that are like, well, I think you could be one of the 30 best players at your position in the entire world one day. Like, I just don't think that that's a very good way to do it. Like, I would rather say and be honest and be conservative and say, like, let's, let's sort of play the baseline here. Like, where can we start? And it's not so much like I don't believe in you and I don't think you could do it, but it's like, let's see if you can earn it. Like, let's see if you can get there. That should be the goal. It's like to motivate you to be like, this is what we think you are, but it's entirely like it's up to you. Like, there's no like, there's no trajectory. Again, like thinking about financial analysis, right? Just because you think a business is cheap to buy doesn't mean that it's a good business to own. It's not gonna rocket right back up. But on the other side, the strongest companies in the world, you might look at them and go, well, yeah, like, do I think X company could be the biggest in the world one day? Well, it's like, well, you're dealing with some pretty heavy hitters, so you've got to be very, very confident. And if you are remotely wrong, then it's going to look awful for you, right? Like, it's going to look bad. If you're right, that's awesome. You become a bajillionaire, right? If you're right, but you're taking risk, and they have to have a certain level of confidence and certainty. And with most players, I just look at the NHL and I go, those are the big dogs, man. It's a high bar. And with a guy like Malhotra, like, I don't think so. But top 9 guy, absolutely. Top second line center, maybe, sure. I could see that. But my thing is always like, think about what they bring to the game and what they can do for you and what they're strong at and comfortable with, and go from there. Have you heard of Kate O'Rourke? Apparently he's getting exceptional status in the OHL. I have not. We'll have Jordan Millette on the show at some point. The OHL Cup is actually happening. Maybe we should bring him on next week, because yeah, exactly. I think that would make a lot of sense having him on the show, because the OHL Cup is going on right now. And he'll be fresh off the takes. He'll get all the takes, and he's boots on the ground too. Have you gotten a chance to check out Anton Frondell's first NHL games? He's been super impressive and projectable as a complimentary top 6 winger. Hawks are even trying him at C. Well, you just did it for me. I haven't, but that doesn't surprise me at all, because that's exactly what I've said he's going to be for years. Last year, I should say, and this year. But yeah, I mean, I trust your judgment because it makes me look smart. But yeah, like that what you highlighted, I don't need to see it. Like, that makes sense to me, right? So yeah, good, great. Like, that's exactly the job he should thrive in, I think. Do you watch the Artemis 2 launch? I had 3 separate streams of the Artemis launch going on, actually. Yeah, you're not messing with no space noob here. I've been on the NASA. I mean, I've got two pictures of shuttle launches over there in my basement. So, and a pull down map on the wall of the solar system with stuff on it. So, you're dealing with a bit of a dork here, and yeah. So I watched it, loved every second of it. I've watched a bit of the live stream whenever it's running, of the camera mounted to the side of the capsule, and it's working about 2% of the time, but checking in every half an hour and seeing the Earth get a little bit smaller in the background of the blurry image was really cool. I mean, it's an incredible thing that they're doing. Obviously they're not landing on the moon, but this is kind of what you have to do, right? Like, this is how it works. In one little step. And I think it's really, really cool. I also watched every season of For All Mankind up till now. I haven't seen the first episode of season 5 either, so no spoilers, please. But this ain't no joke. I'm a big Dune head. Read the books at summer camp, and oh yeah, this is my jam. And so yeah, I mean, I've been all over like the New Horizons probe. I watched the press conference where they released those images, which was incredible. And I mean, I think that the New Horizons thing might be one of the most incredible space achievements of the, like, I know this is a big deal, like the Artemis thing, but shipping a probe to Pluto and getting actual like close-up images and flyby images of Pluto is wild. like that is, think about that, right? Like the math that you would have had to do to nail that, and the tech to make sure that stuff doesn't break on the way. unbelievable. I mean, obviously going to the moon is pretty incredible too. There's no taking that away. But yeah, no, it's really, really cool. And I watched every second of it. I had the countdown clock going pretty much all day yesterday until it launched. So yeah, this is my jam. Forgive me, I have sinned. The more I watch shift by shifts of Keaton in November versus current ones, I'm creeping ahead of Stenberg. He's improved his skating and defense. Well, I mean, look, if there's a defenseman in this draft that you feel like you want to take really, really high, Verhoff is a decent option. I think Verhoff is. Do I think he's a top pair? Maybe. If things break really, really right. But the numbers, at least that I have on him, are at least in terms of defending, really good. Like his defensive numbers are by and large really good. Actually, we can do this. Let's do this. We can go here, and we will go here, and we will go Keaton. We'll say his name is Keaton, and right. So, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna do this live on camera because I am a little bit frustrated that this is how it is going. There we go. Oh. There we go. That's a little better. So, yeah, like transitions coming his way, 8.47% control is ridiculously high. A lot of it is done through positioning, but the stick checking numbers are really, really good too. That's also really a positive. Like he shows a very capable ability of defending. His ability to break cycles is pretty good. He's not the most physical guy in the world, but he's not like shooting the puck a ton and wasting opportunities. He's shuttling pucks into the middle of the ice and being a really good playmaker. I think there's a lot of playmaking upside in his game. And I think we saw flashes of that at the World Juniors. I think he's a nice little blank slate, and I do think he's improved over the course of the year. I think I expected a little bit more, but that's not to say he's been not good. Like that range for me from 3 to 9 is so close. Lawrence, Bjork, Smith, Villeneuve, Gustafsson, Reed, Verhoff, and you could order it in any direction, and I would agree with you. Ahead of McKenna and ahead of Stenberg, I don't know. I mean, I want to see what I think watching Stenberg back. After I've done a whole sample on him and put the video together, because I do think that he's going to be an extremely good NHL player, but I can't exactly explain why. and I do have some concerns about McKenna. But it's just going to be a matter of how much you can extract out of a guy like Verhoff, from here, which I think could be a lot. But I think you could make that argument for guys like Lawrence and Bjork and Gustafsson, especially considering how much he's grown this year. The upside of a guy like Villeneuve, who is older, but I mean, I think that his upside is as high as anybody in the entire class. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a sin. I will say that I don't think that's a sin. But you're just betting on this future, which I think is fair. That's fine. When I took the player, he'll be in. Oh yeah, I agree. I think you're potentially right on that. That 3 to 5 years from now, he'll at least be comparable to a guy like Stenberg. It's possible. The Leafs would be the smallest team in the league by a mile. Might be the. Oh wait, we did that already. Thoughts on Leafs signing Vinny Borghini? Hey, Vinny Borghini. Borghese, whatever. He's fun to watch, man. I mean, my 5'8" defense crusade. Look, if maybe I should throw this in the email to Keith Pelly, but look, I like 5'8" defensemen here and there. And if you're not shy about those types of players, which clearly they're not because he got an NHL contract, then I'm your man. Let me tell you about Braden Thompson, brother. He might be the next Vinny Borghini, and maybe that should be my pitch. It's like the Wolf of Wall Street, where Matthew McConaughey is asking Leonardo DiCaprio. It's like, I heard that in your job interview you pitched a stock, and he's like, I love that. That's great. Maybe I'll just pitch a 5'8" defenseman and be like, hey, you want the next Vinny Borghini? Let me tell you about this guy. Yeah, it might mean I suck the whole. Yeah. Yeah, it does. I admit that. It's okay. I can handle the bullying without AJ here. Assuming the Pens pick around 22 and a few types of the players who should the Sens pick and should they trade up? I would argue you almost never should trade up, unless there's like something that, like if I had the 22nd pick overall and Tyne and Lawrence were there at like 14, 15, then I would think about trading up and just taking him. Or Bjork, right? Like if a player like Bjork or Lawrence or Villeneuve, you might not even need to trade up and take Villeneuve at 22, right? I would at least wait and see who's falling in the draft before saying trade up. I wouldn't say should they do it. Yes. But like at 22, in this year's draft class, like many other draft classes, if you swing big, you could hit an absolutely gargantuan home run. And I think there's a few candidates. I mean, I still believe that the most Penguins coded pick, and for many reasons, is Wyatt Cullen. And Kyle Dubas is not afraid to go off the board. But I mean, if a guy like, I don't think it's going to happen, but if a guy like Bjork or Lawrence is there at 22, then all bets are off. You just go, this can't possibly, we gotta turn down the we're smarter than everybody, so we're gonna draft out a left field thing. Because that's just silly to me. But, look, if Wyatt Cullen is their guy, then so be it. And that would make me look smart and it would be really funny. But yeah. Have you followed the OHL Cup? Not really. I did see that Thunder Bay got absolutely pummeled. So there's that. But I don't have the time. I just don't have the time, honestly. I mean, with puck preps, like, if it happened 2 months ago, I would be watching it and helping out with them for sure. But I can't. Like, there's nationals going on too right now. I don't have the time, unfortunately. I feel kind of bad about it, but I just don't have it. I cold called a bunch of PCHL and WHL teams to try to get into the business side, had a decent success, and met a few people for coffee. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I should do it. I have done lots of cold calling for sure. I've done it a lot. And we'll say mixed results. Should the NCAA Division I have a draft like for hockey? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think schools should be auctioning children. So all the top schools don't get all the top talent. Maybe each school's, you're continuing your thought. Maybe each schools have a signing pool. The worse you finish, the higher the pool is, and the worst schools get a first choice. I don't think that. I think that with the way that and the disparity with which U.S. universities can have in terms of money and resources, it would be like the NHL in the 70s, but like on steroids. Like you would have, like, and also like Atlantic Hockey would have. How do you scale for conferences, right? Like you would basically be rebalancing conferences constantly. And I don't think so. I think that what is more likely is you as a school have to find some sponsors who can pay you some money so that you can be good per dollar with your recruitment budget. And just do it the normal way, which I think is possible. I think there are plenty of guys out there that are missed and looked over, and colleges could make good college players, and colleges could do some damage bringing them in. And obviously I'm speaking from, there's like 80 Division I schools. Like I'm speaking from a position where it's like they're not all the same. But if I were running a school's program, which would be a lot of fun, definitely would have to. I don't think a draft would be the way to go. Because I can absolutely understand why a 17-year-old would be like, I'm not going to Mercyhurst. Like, like Gavin McKenna would be at like Mercyhurst University. Like that doesn't, or like Long Island University. That just doesn't sound like something. He would probably just be like, well, I'm not going. Like, I'm just not going to go to school. I'm just going to stay in Canada. I'd rather just stay in Canada, right? Like, the good thing about all this is it's leaving the player's destiny up to the players, which is something we should be doing more with youth athletes. Like, I don't think it should be up to giant companies. It's a big reason why I also am not a huge fan of the CHL, because I think that uprooting kids at 15 and moving them around thousands of kilometers of range of possibilities and adding, so much complication to the life of a 15-year-old or even 14 at times I think it's just insane. And so I don't think we should be doing that with kids. Like professional athletes, yeah, of course, right? There's millions of dollars at stake. It's a little different, and they're adults. But I don't know. I don't see that as a thing I would do. What would your pitch be to the MLSE and Keith Pelley if you were interviewing for the job? I mean, I would imagine they would want to know what the plan for me would be. And the first thing I would have to do is sit down and interview, well, not interview, but essentially pick the brains of everyone, right? Players, staff, management staff, and I would want to find out, one, how they're feeling, right? Like, get on their level. I think that what you'd have to do is kind of like butter them like a piece of toast and then try to like toast them a little more. You know what I mean? Like go to a William Nylander and be like, look, number one, you're not going anywhere, right? And you're a phenomenal part of this group. You're one of the best players for this team that they've ever had. You're not going to go anywhere. Let's get that out of the way. But the way this is going to work is I'm going to need to know confidentially what you think is going on and wrong, and you specifically, what you think we might need to do. And you just repeat that process and you take notes 100 times, right? You interview everybody for the first few weeks and you kind of build a web of like, okay, there are maybe your factions going on or whatever. Like you got to lay the groundwork to understand what's going on there in the first place, right? Like what are the problems? What are the strengths? Whatever, right? And then worry about the hockey stuff later. Like, cause you're a manager. You have to think about the people first, right? That's the whole point. We talked about this on Monday night, but like you could have an awesome team of people around you, but if you have a terrible boss, then they don't want to put in the work for you. But if you have a boss who like listens to your concerns and your needs and wants to help the ship move in the right direction, but you have a bad team under you, then that's also going to suck. So you have to be honest and be like, well, I'm not going to tell anyone what anyone said about anybody, but I need to know what's going on here if we're going to move forward in a good direction. Like in terms of hockey, I mean, I don't think I would tell Keith Pelley, like, I don't think you should hire me if you aren't going to think about moving this team in a different direction and deal with the pain that might come with that. And I'm not saying rebuild the team, but I'm saying like, if I swap out Philippe Myers for Nick Blankenberg for league min, like I personally think that would be a good move, at least in the right direction in a little way. But to some people, they might go, that's a 5'9" defenseman that can't get ice time. Like he was a mid-pair guy on Nashville, and Nashville, well, they're a playoff team, but like sort of. But you know what I'm saying? Like I would have to look at that and go like, yes, but I would outline how I see the game. And I would imagine that if Keith Pelley hired me to do something, it would be like, he thinks that the philosophy makes sense. And for me, like I would say, I don't care how big a player is. I don't care how big or strong or fast or skilled or whatever. I just look at how they play, what they do. They're the cycle of possession. That's all I think about is like, you don't have the puck most of the time. How are you getting it back? You got the puck. Now what do you do? Right? Can you get it up the ice? Can you get it up the ice and gain possession in the offensive zone? Can you gain possession of the ice in the offensive zone and create a scoring chance of some kind? Can you create a scoring chance? Great. Can you score? The more players you can find that are really good at as many of those things as possible, to me, the math just makes sense. You're going to win games. Big players can do it. Small players can do it. Fast players can do it. Slow players can do it. It doesn't matter. You just have to identify the ones who are the best at the most things. And data helps you do that for sure. It definitely helps you do that, which is great. And so it's like, that's the philosophy I'd have to go at. And if he's with it, I would have to look at that and go, right, then we're going to have to follow through on some things that Ronald in Woodstock is going to call into the radio show and be like, this kid is an idiot. It's like, well, we'd have to see it through. And I'm hiring David Carl for a 5-year contract. Like, he's going to be here for a while. And we're going to, obviously I'm I'd interview for sure. But yeah, I mean, it would be, and I'm saying a lot of words, but essentially my whole thing would be like, we're gonna get a firm understanding of what's going on here, and then go worry about hockey later, right? But you don't have that much time to worry about hockey. I'm not biased at all. Koblar should come to the Steelheads. Yeah. Here's a dumb idea. Ask AI to give you a 5-point plan on how to fix the Toronto Maple Leafs roster. Yeah, no, that's not happening. It's just going to pull like the Hockey Writers or Daily Faceoff or the Athletic articles and just be like, bleh, and that's not what I want. I heard that Cruz Lucius won't sign. What are your thoughts? I don't know. I never was huge on Cruz Lucius. He's an interesting player, but I'm not totally sold. I think the Pens need to draft the highest ceiling defenseman possible. Well, let me tell you about Xavier Villeneuve. I know you have Viggo Bjork high, and I personally rate him quite highly, but I think the odds of him dropping to below 10 is high. Yes, I would agree. I think it's entirely possible. What makes Seamus Ignatavicius so good? I've watched him limited viewings, but I liked his game. It's not, I don't know. I don't think he's like good as an NHL player, but I think he is serviceable. In a weird way, he look, Habs fans, I'm sorry in advance. I don't mean this to be disrespectful, but only in terms of style of play and potential role on an NHL team, I feel like there's a bit of a Slafkovsky type of guy there. Slafkovsky is more skilled. Slafkovsky is faster. Slafkovsky is definitely a bigger, more high-end NHL projectable version for sure. But Ignatavicius' bread and butter really is like, he's a pretty big kid who I think his skating has gotten better over the course of the year. His skill level is okay, but the way he uses it, I think is really good. Like, he sees the ice really well. He's a good passer. He keeps control of the puck well. He's a good possession player at a tough level of hockey. Switzerland is no joke. He's more physical than he was. He goes to the net. He gets some scoring chances here and there. He just chips in really, really well. And I always, when I watch him, it's like, I mean, he's not the most exciting pick you're going to make, but like, could I see him in a bottom six or, complimentary second liner on a team maybe one day? Sure. Probably not a second, but like on the wings, down your lineup, and just being a guy, being a dude who can move the puck okay, play physical, go to the net, just meat and potatoes hockey in a way that could work. Great. I'm all for it. And I think at this point in the draft where I have him ranked, which is in the late 20s, I probably should maybe bump him down a little bit. But like at that point, if you get anything, you've done well. And I feel like he could be a guy that just plays, even if you might be able to sign a guy like him. And I think around that range of the draft, yeah, that kind of makes sense. I don't see the high-end skill offensive talent with the whole Malhotra destined to be like a middle six. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too. Do you think there's anything in Stenberg's game that he could play center in the NHL, or is he a winger through and through? I probably would leave him on the wing. I don't think his I think I'd much rather not take the risk, because I don't think he's played center in a very long time, if at all. I don't think I've ever seen him playing center. I could be wrong on that. I can hear Mikhail Holmes screaming at me that he played center when he was like 14 or something, but I don't know. But for me, the thing about him is that you know what you're getting with him as a winger, which is like such a valuable forechecking presence. He's a guy who can make a play. He doesn't waste his shots. He's pretty physical, but like not a huge part of his game is that way. He's a really good, smart forechecker, moves the puck really effectively. He's just so smart, and there's so much that is good. And that's hard to find in a projectable way, especially at the SHL level when they're 17 or 18. I just look at his game, and there's something about it where I go, I just don't know if he's a center. Like, he doesn't really have the explosiveness I look for, the escape speed, the open ice play that I'm kind of looking for out of a Stenberg on the puck. but that also might be because he doesn't have the opportunity. I don't know. I think he might be able to do it, but I wouldn't draft him expecting it to happen. Like maybe you try it in camp and go like, if he turns out to be a center, then we nailed it. And you see how it goes. But I would think that you're looking at a guy being a winger through and through. Thoughts on Samu Alalauri and Mons Gudmundsson? Good defensive players. I like them both for their basics and simplicity. I like Alalauri a bit better, a lot better. I think there's like some interesting skill and you know, once there's a bit more of an explosive skating ability up the ice to him that I like. In a way, he's kind of like the Finnish junior league equivalent of like a Chase Reed to me, where it's like the defensive game is fine most of the time, but then something happens and you go, uh-oh. But then like he gets the puck and drives up the ice or makes a play or steps up into the offensive zone and you're like, oh, all right, that's fine. You know, where we can live with whatever, that's fine. We can work on da. Now, Alalauri is very different in a overall ability sense, but like in terms of the sort of good and bad, it's kind of similar. Gudmundsson is not similar to that at all. I think he's very, very defensive leaning, very similar in a way to like a less physically developed version of his former teammate Malte Voss, who I didn't mind, but he was very boring and very simple and very effective and just kind of got the job done and you know, plays like a guy that you could find on any given season in the NHL for a cheap amount of money to fill a job as a defenseman. Like, it's fine. He's fine. 3 goalie fights in the NHL the past 3 months. Have we finally broken the matrix? That's true. I mean, if I'm an NHL coach or general manager, I don't want my goalies fighting. Like, if your job is to hold on to a stick and do this, like hundreds, thousands of times a year, the last thing I want is you doing this with your fingers, you know? It feels like this should be what you have, you know, how like in the 80s, like Jamie Lee Curtis had an insurance policy on her legs, or I believe Celine Dion had an insurance policy on her singing voice or something like that. Goalies should probably have insurance policies on their catching glove, and because fighting for a goalie seems like something that would be a little inadvisable and silly, but it's fun to watch. It's really fun to watch, and it's really objectively very funny. These bulky equipment guys that can barely hold their arms up like a bodybuilder, just sort of socking them as best they can. It's really funny, but not my first choice of a line of defense. How would you define an NHL player's prime age years? Which years are the ones where a player plays their best, assuming healthy? I think there's lots and lots and lots of research out there proving, without a doubt, that the best years of a player are generally for forwards like 22 to 25, and they kind of peter out, and then like around 30 things start to decline. And for defensemen, it's like 2 years later, I think. Like you see defensemen curve up, and then by like 24, 25, they kind of hit a plateau. And I think a lot of defensemen, if I'm not wrong, the defensemen like hold that plateau a little longer, and then the drop off is faster. And I did some data this summer, actually, looking into this with evolving hockey data, and it just bore out that way for me as well. I know Micah McCurdy has done that, and it's it showed that as well, and I trust his work. Even like he is such a nut job that I have to trust everything he does, because I just know he's way smarter than me, and like he's like Paul Atreides, like he just sees the universe in a different way. That I go, I don't get it, but I trust him. I don't get it, but whatever. And he says the same thing. So yeah, there's lots of data out there to show that. What are your thoughts on Ryder Cali and Thomas Vandenberg? Really young players. I like Cali a lot more, which I didn't think coming into the season would be the case. I think Cali's game has improved quite a bit over the course of the season when I've seen him. He's just marched his way up my board. I think he's in the top 50 now. He's young, but he's big and has some really interesting skill level that comes out once in a while. I think he's a really smart passer as well. He sees the ice really, really well. A good player. I think he's a good one. With a nice sort of fundamental baseline. Like he could be one where if Pittsburgh had the 30th pick or 25th pick, he'd pick Ryder Cali, and most people would be like, "What the hell was that?" And I'd be sitting there going like, oh, I kind of get it. Like, I kind of see where they're coming from with that, and I can kind of see how that would work out. and I wouldn't be fully against it because I do really like what I see out of him. It's just that other guys show more now, but development case is really positive with him, I think, over time. I certainly wouldn't draft him if the expectation is like we're going to put more weight on his frame. If anything, I want him to slim down a little bit and get a little bit lighter on his feet and a little bit more sort of escape focused rather than possession and smarts focused. But I like him a lot. And Vandenberg, I think with Vandenberg, I just have been waiting all year for something that I don't think is there. Like, he's really smart, and I think he plays like a bottom six NHL center that doesn't really produce a whole lot of offense, but you just can trust him generally. And there's nothing wrong with their game, but like, I just don't know. Like, he's worked his way all the way down to the end of my list. Like, I think he's a watch list guy now. I keep looking for any sort of offensive output. And for a guy his size, like if you have trouble generating offense in the OHL and you're more of an off-puck focused player and a lot of other players are doing a lot of the work, then it's really hard for me to make the case for you. But the youth is a positive. The developmental possibilities are there. Like, he does have some skill. He can shoot the puck pretty well. It's just you never see him do it because he doesn't have the puck very often. He's one of the least involved players that I've tracked this year, transition-wise, passing-wise, shooting-wise. It's just his defending that seems to be really good. Is that an NHL player? Maybe, but I think other guys are a higher priority. Peter Sikora upside. Honestly, I haven't seen him at all this year. I totally forgot he existed, but that's a good reminder. I think he's like, I remember he was at the World Juniors, and that's the only time I've seen him, and I thought he was really good there. Like, yeah, the skill's good, and yeah, he's an interesting one. That is who you're talking. Yeah, Peter Sikora. Yeah. Your opinion of Alex Command? Does he have first round abilities? I mean, in terms of a skating player, like, I think his skating ability is first round quality. He's a pretty shifty guy. The problem I have with Command is, like, under pressure, his game kind of falls apart. Like, once he faces physical pressure or close quarters defending, things kind of fall apart for him a lot of the time in my games that I've seen. There's nothing. I like the talent floor. I think he could be a guy that fans who of the team who drafts him gets really excited when he's a solid SHL player. Maybe 2 years from now, maybe not next year, but 2 years from now, I could see it happening. Or he comes to the CHL, and I feel like he could be a very productive player in the CHL, but not a whole lot of Swedes tend to come to North America or come to the CHL. Because, like, why would you? You're in Sweden and you get to play pro hockey. But yeah, I think Command is a really good player. And the upside is high, but I think the floor and the problems are, to me, if he's like the third guy you're picking, I think you've done a really good job. If he's the second guy and you're a decent team, like, you've taken a nice swing that could pay off, but I wouldn't, I'd get excited about him. But there's a wide range of possibilities, I think, with a guy like Command. What do you think of SpaceX's IPO? $1.75 trillion. Look, I'm not putting money into it. I was a Rocket Lab investor for 3 years, which was pretty good for me. It was a pretty good choice to invest in that company during the pandemic. But I've sold it all since. I sold it in November because it hit like $80, and I just went like, this is outrageous. It's a meme stock now, right? And when you own something that you've had for years and it becomes a meme stock and people start calling it that, that's when you should probably sell it. You let other people be exit liquidity for you. And I feel like SpaceX is that on steroids, but on steroids. Like, I know the argument, right? Like, SpaceX owns like XAI, which owns Grok, and Grok is, maybe there's something there. I am a believer in like satellite and launch systems as like a business plan being something that will be more important in the future. Like, I think I have been really interested learning about how all of these rocket launches over the last X years have improved things like agriculture and mining surveys and geological surveys and like getting better and higher bandwidth imagery of the planet from a science perspective and from a strategic perspective is really interesting. Obviously, there are nefarious effects of that as well. But the part that I like to think about is like, well, farmers know a lot more about their land, and there's plenty of whatever, and so SpaceX factors into that. But like $1.75 trillion for a company where I haven't seen their books yet, I can't take that risk. Like, especially when what you find out about something like XAI. I think XAI is making something in the millions a year, like tens, hundreds of millions, maybe hundreds of millions a year, maybe less. And they're burning like billions of dollars a month. Like, the numbers just don't make sense. You're buying stock in Elon Musk, right? That's what you're doing at the end of the day. Tesla is the same. If you buy Tesla stock, you're buying it because of Elon Musk. You're not buying it because it's cheap. You're not buying it because the business is thriving. You're buying it because you think Elon Musk is the coolest guy in the world, and his cult is only going to get stronger and stronger, and his brand is only getting stronger and stronger. And SpaceX is, I think, a good brand that is doing good work, but like, once you get to the trillions of dollars, you're talking about like everyday globally impactful companies that like every human being on the planet, or at least like many billions of people on the planet benefit from, like Google, Facebook, like all of those things. They're in the billions of people who utilize it all the time. And with SpaceX, I know rocket launches are expensive, but I just don't see it. I don't see it. I get the feeling that we're entering an era where debt is catching up, investment is catching up. Companies are going to need to find ways to cover interest, and I don't think interest rates are going down anytime soon. So debt is not going to get any cheaper. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't see it. So taking SpaceX public now sounds like a good way to have cash get pumped into the company from people like you and me to cash in on space, because space is cool. And SpaceX is cool, but they're also running a business that's burning billions and billions of dollars. And you can't keep diluting your stock forever. You can't keep going to investors and raising capital forever, right? So at some point you go public, at some point you dilute, and you go from there. I don't believe in it. I think I personally think that the space thing anyway is an extremely volatile and risky space to be in right now, because everybody's into it. The book I'm reading, Richer, Wiser, Happier, I think it's called. There's a whole section in there about like being patient and waiting for the right opportunities, because if you want to invest your money and you're chasing what everyone else is interested in, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. You gotta do stuff that people aren't looking at. You got to look for stuff that people aren't thinking about. You got to take risks that people think you're crazy about. Like, if I told you some of the companies I've put some money into and I'm holding on to for a long time, you probably would lose your friggin' mind. You'd be like, are you insane? And it's like, you know what? Like, I that's the point, right? You think I'm crazy, but I have a thesis and I think I can make it make sense, right? So anyway, are we still delusional in calling McKenna generational? Well, I mean, if he turns out to be generational, then he's generational, you know. The skill level is certainly unlike many players I've ever seen. Can you give me analysis as a Blues fan needing a defenseman in this draft at the top end? Your opinion of Schmitz versus Reed versus Verhoff? I like Schmitz the most. I think that the size and the skill and the skating ability and his defensive abilities are improving and improving and improving. I think if you want a two-way guy that can sort of play offensively, pinch up in the offensive zone, and you have that more free-flowing system that allows defensemen to be a little more confident, Schmitz is your guy. If you want more of a traditional puck rusher, straight line guy, solid playmaker, offensive vision guy, then Chase Reed's your man. If you want rock solid two-way hockey that, has really strong defensive foundations, especially in the neutral zone, and very intriguing playmaking ability offensively as well, but maybe not the puck rusher that Reed is, or the skilled player, the confident player that Schmitz is, then Verhoff is your guy. So they're very different. If I'm St. Louis, like, I don't know if Schmitz is a very good fit. Like, they've drafted Lindstein and Jiricek. Like, they do tend to draft defensively sound players. So to me, that makes me think that like a Verhoff would make the most sense for them. Maybe Reed. Reed gives them something a little different. Like they, maybe what Justin Fault kind of used to be might be kind of what you're looking at with a Reed. I don't know, but it's a good question. Is the trade problem fixed for the draft tool? Yes, trades work now. Are you going to watch the expansion draft for the tempo tomorrow? Probably not. I'm not a basketball guy. I'm not a huge basketball guy. And honestly, like the Las Vegas Aces, they have my heart. If I am going to follow the WNBA, it's got to be Jackie Young. If Jackie Young ends up on the Toronto Tempo, then yes, I'm buying a jersey tomorrow because she's my goat. She's my sweet cheese. She's amazing. I love watching. Whenever I get to watch the WNBA, which admittedly is not very often, Jackie Young is the one that I'm always looking for. Yeah. Where do you see Roman Kanserov in Chicago's lineup if he makes the NHL? Probably in competition with Nick Lardis for the exact same job. Whatever that means to you, probably something like that. Like, I don't know if you can have two Nick Lardises on your team, but if you want one, that's fine, and it's going to be one or the other. I don't know which one I would put my money on, but if anything, maybe middle six complimentary finisher. That's my vibe. Is Alexander the Great a generational prospect? Will he go first or Genghis Khan? Ooh. Well, it's really tough, right? Like, it's two sides of a similar coin, right? Like the brute force of a Genghis Khan compared to the leadership and tactics of an Alexander the Great. I don't know which one I would take first. I think that you probably go with Alexander the Great. Like, he died really early in his life, and what he had accomplished to that point was pretty incredible. And I don't think towards the end of his reign and towards his death, I'd have to look, but I don't think he was on the verge of like losing control of what he was doing. Like, I feel like that he was constantly campaigning and constantly soldiers were getting exhausted and whatever, but he just kept motivating them. He just kept pushing them. And at some point that's going to end, right? And I feel like towards his death, there were people, and I think that's part of the reason that people think he was killed, but like generals were kind of losing maybe some interest in all this, but he just kept going. Would he stop if he didn't die? Maybe. And I feel like that could have been a very smart decision. Genghis Khan never stopped either. And he just ran over everybody, literally. So if you're a fan of Might Makes Right, maybe you go with Genghis Khan. But I feel like the better leader, if that's what we're talking about, might be Alexander the Great, especially considering what he was capable of at the time, the technology at the time, and how much everyone around him wanted to give up or stop, and he kept winning. He just kept pushing and winning. They got tired of winning. There was so much winning going on. They got tired of winning, and that's funny how times change. Plenty winning now. What do you think the chances Chicago takes a defenseman? Probably pretty high. Like, let me just run a simulator. Like, Chicago's looking at another high-end pick, and yeah, like, I could see them going defense. There's a lot of good ones this year. Like if McKenna Stenberg are off the board and they lose one of the lottery picks, then that's probably, I would think, a defenseman. I personally would really like a Bjork or a Lawrence on Chicago. I think they'd be great fits, but they've drafted so many forwards, and their defensemen that they have drafted kind of haven't really worked out all that much. You might maybe add a defenseman and bet on upside. What do you think the chances are? Oh, so we did that. Tommy Blale hype train? Yeah, sure. Maybe Trey signing Vinny was one of the last straws. That's also very true. That's very true. And yeah, I would argue Ala Lowry is a raw kind of Piperinen type guy. Big part of the GM job is the right people. I assume Berube isn't your guy. Who would be your coach for the Short King Leafs? I would say I mean, I don't know. I would have to talk to the coaches. I don't know off the top of my head, but I have plenty of time. Like the only someone brought him up, but the only name that I would absolutely be like, I would be very curious to meet and talk to this person is David Carl. Like clearly he's not afraid of playing a very highly skilled team. And that's kind of how I like to see the game played. Like I would want a coach that resonates with me in how they see the game. Cornell is another school that both men's and women's teams kind of have a shift towards kind of what I'm looking at, but that's not the highest level of competition. Like I'd be calling everybody, right? Like Spencer Carberry, maybe. I mean, he was with Toronto and Washington probably isn't letting him go. But like a guy like that, like it would have to be, I wouldn't just go for Bruce Cassidy. I wouldn't just go for whoever is unemployed. You know, it's like I would take some time and, you know, grab a beer with a lot of different people, grab an old fashioned, grab a whiskey, whatever I feel like, take them out, hit Bay Street, you know, show them the ropes, and have a couple of drinks and go from there. I don't know. Would you bring AJ with you? No way. Are you kidding me? My bully? Am I bringing my bully with me? Big centers do rise. You're right. Finance guy here. Yeah, hello. Praying the Rangers can draft high. Stenberg, do you see a fit there? I don't know if I trust the Rangers to do much of anything right now. But like, I don't think Stenberg really fits the style of play the Rangers culturally seem to like. Like, honestly, part of me is just like, you take McKenna and hope it works. Like, if Gavin McKenna hits his bull case and he's playing for the New York Rangers, that is I think, potentially trajectory shifting change in the NHL. Totally. Like, I think the NHL will be in a very, very different place if Connor McDavid has had his career that he's had playing in Detroit or New York or Boston or LA. Like, I think his trajectory, the NHL's trajectory is significantly different. And McKenna in New York, the City of Lights having McKenna on the team, and it's great. Everything goes great. Oh, that would be so sick. That would be so sick. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I got to be optimistic. I try to be an optimist in a world full of pessimists, and it would be awesome. But we'll see. Thoughts on the new Survivor episode? Dude, this season is so good. It's so good. Season 50 is like way beyond what I thought it would be. I won't spoil anything, but I thought that episode last night was really, really good. I thought the twist that they put in was really cool. Still dumb, but if you're going to do something like that, it was cool. I thought. I do really, really like him. I like this season. That was a reflex. It's just so good. Like the personalities and the conflicts and the little cliques that are forming and how they interact, and like the challenges seem pretty even, and like there's so much going on that I just have loved this season. It's a shame that we had a half an hour delay for what basically was a Spanish flu fueled fever dream of nightmarish proportions of stupidity, but you know, Survivor didn't do it, so the show was good. Can Gavin McKenna still drive play? Yes, he can. Offensively, yes. Can he be is he going to be a perimeter player forever? I mean, I think he's good enough to be a perimeter play. Like the guy that always kind of comes to mind for me is like a Panarin. Right? Like the skill level, the finish, the skill level, the playmaking vision, like Panarin, from what I've seen of Panarin over the years, like a lot of his best plays come along the half wall, come along, halfway into the offensive zone, right? Sorry, my nose is running. But there's plenty to love. Like McKenna does drive play. It's just almost certainly always in the offensive direction. And I don't know how much he projects as a pure goal scorer, at least at 5-on-5. So as a playmaker, Like, do you want him getting a little deeper into the offensive zone more often and making plays in front of the net a little more often and grinding down low a little more? Sure, I think coaches are going to genuinely want that, and they should. But I'm not too worried about his play driving ability. It's really, really good, and it's gotten better over the course of this year. It's just a matter of like decision making and mentality for him. I think that's the big thing. I'm glad you're enjoying the simulator too. Which NHL draftees would make the best space crew? Well, it depends on the mission, right? Like, it depends on what you're trying to achieve. If I am, I don't know. I mean, you need good vibes on a space flight, especially something like Artemis, where two people, where you're there for multiple days and you're on a trip that you're constantly on. You got to have good vibes. We'll throw Lyndon Lakovich on there. He seems like a smart guy and could be a flight commander. That'd be fun. You need an engineer of some kind. You need a real dork. Maybe a Ben Kindle could be your engineer. I don't know. Anton Frondel for the muscle, just in case something goes wrong. The bodyguard in the room. I don't know. Why so low on Carroll's? I don't trust his offense, like, at all. I don't think it's repeatable. I don't think it is projectable. I think his defensive game is good. I think he's a good defensive, physical defender, which you need. Like, I think that could I see him having a long career where he's not super productive, but efficient and physical and defensive leaning and teams really love him? Sure. But I've seen so many chances of I've seen so many games of him this year where I'm just looking for something that I'm missing. And his defensive game has improved. He's more physical. He's more committed. I think that's a good thing to have. But I just, when I look at the other defensemen in this draft, I just go, I A-B them. I've A-B'd them all year, and I just go, I would not take Carroll's. And other guys just bump him down. I think this draft opens up and gets very, 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 very even very quickly. So maybe he's part of that group higher than I have him, but there's a lot of guys in this draft that I find a lot more exciting and a lot more believable as an NHL level defenseman that can produce than Carroll's right now. Why is everybody rating him highly? Because, I mean, he's extremely productive and he throws hits, man. Like Carroll's is a physical player. He is a good physical defenseman, but I think people look at the production and go, that's an elite two-way defenseman. We've got the next whatever on our hands. And fair enough. Again, like, I've said this like every show for weeks, but like, my fundamental thesis that I'm putting money on this year is that you have to be extremely careful drafting out of the CHL this year. Like, it's a transitory year. It is the first year of a new era, and it's not going to be the last year where things are different. Things are going to change, and you have to avoid mistakes. And I think that the CHL, there are players there who are benefiting from a lower level of competition, and I think there are good players who are struggling with a drop in competition. It's a really hard thing to parse through, but some of the goals that you see scored and, like, I don't know, man. The chips I'm putting on the table are that a lot of CHL players are not valued properly, I don't think. It's not that they're bad. It's just a matter of valuation, and I don't believe it. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But I won't know for 5 years. Thoughts on Charlie Stramel? Big, strong guy with some skill, like very projectable to the NHL. He's come a long way since being at Wisconsin. Wisconsin tried their hardest, but he transferred and figured it out, and now he's been pretty good. I think he'll be an NHLer, like a bottom six guy from Minnesota. You got your next Foligno brother, like just a guy who can be big and physical and safe and dependable and play and be physical while having a bit of skill and can produce a little bit. That's fine. Did you fall for an April Fool's joke? No, I didn't. But one of my favorite Instagram accounts made a spoof of April Fool's that I really greatly enjoyed. What is her account? She is one of the funniest people for me on the internet right now. Her name, I want to shout her out, even though she doesn't watch this show, almost guaranteed. Oh my God, where is it? Heather APZ. Heather APZ, abs. She did a really, really funny April Fool's spoof that I did fall for because it was hilarious. But no. I don't think you see very many anymore. I think that was very 2000s through 2010s, like woke optimist thing when people were still having like fun in life, you know, like when people still like, you know, were chill. Like it was way funnier to like do that, you know. Nowadays everybody's just like, just shut up and give me my burrito, please. I just want to go home. I've been working all day. I don't make any money. Everything is sad. My mortgage is $5,000 a month. I don't know. Just give me my burrito. Oh, McDonald's is serving a tofu burger now. Just shut up and give me my McNuggets, man. Like, it's not funny anymore. You know, like that's kind of where we're at, right? So I don't know. They're pretty. It's a pretty easy day to ignore nowadays. But it had its time. It had its wheelhouse. In a different life, do you think he could have made a good player agent? Hey, there's still time. I'm not dead yet. I'd do it. I think I could be actually kind of, in a way, decent at it. You know, I have no problem standing for players. We know that, and I have no problem being motivational and helping other. I would love to help other players. You know, like I'm not an athlete. You know, look at me. I play hockey. I know how to play hockey. I think I am, you know, my baseline brain function ability is probably pretty decent. Not, you know, I'm not saying I'm a genius, but like I feel like I hum along at a relatively okay level. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would love to. I've dipped my toe into trying, but it is it's a grind, to say the least. It is a huge sacrifice financially to try it. And especially as an independent person, like it's really, really tough. But, you know, like I have looked into being certified and everything like that. It's just, I hit a roadblock where it's like you need to have players on your roster to be certified for PHPA, I think, which is outside the NHL. I was like, well, how am I supposed to do that if I don't like, do I just call myself an agent? And then once players sign with me, I then get certified? Like that doesn't seem to make much sense. But if that's what you should be doing, then that's what you should be doing. How many goalies get hurt out of a fight? I mean, I don't know, but I guess it could train the stick hand to be the one they punch with. That's true. Thoughts on Pantelis, Liski, and Ta'amu? Well, I'll tell you this. I was about to call him Polanski. We don't say that name. But Pantelis yesterday was not very good. Every time I've seen him play this year, I fundamentally do not understand it. I just don't understand it. Like, it's just not my thing. Liski, I really like. And Ta'amu was that, like, low-key. Noah Ta'amu can kind of ball out. Like he was on my watch list all year. And after the last game I did the other day, like I just kind of went, you know what? I kind of like this guy. Like like if you're going to draft a big guy who doesn't produce a ton, you could do a lot worse than Noah Ta'amu. Very smart defensive mind, but has some playmaking hands and vision that you're like, whoa. Interesting. He's got the highest BMI in the draft, so NHL teams are gonna love that. But he's fun, man. Like he doesn't overcommit physically. He's got a bit of skill to him too. Like I think he's one of these guys where, you know, maybe not the first three guys I draft, one of them's Ta'amu, but beyond that point, like I'd throw his name out there. You know, I feel like he could be something. Liski, I really like. Like, I think Liski is a very projectable defensive hockey player. Like, he is committed. He's mobile. He is a high-paced defender. He doesn't lounge around waiting for things to happen. He's active, he's aggressive, and he's calculated. Not too much really offensive upside really there. So I don't buy it, but as a defensive player, I really like him. I think he's underrated. With Lexan being relegated, do you think Victor Johansson and Koblar should stay with the team, go to the Marlies, or stay with the SHL? I would honestly probably just keep him in Sweden another year. Dude, part of me just thinks the Toronto Maple Leafs now are just toxic rocket fuel. And I would probably take a year and go, we'll see you in a year. We got some things to sort out. We'll still send you our development plan. We're going to scout and pro scout you and give you your summer stuff and everything. But like, in terms of playing, stay home, stay with your friends. You get to play pro hockey at a men's level next year. We'll circle back of maybe when things are a little stabilized and see where we're at in a year, right? I just think it's a little turbulent and there's no rush. Koblar's further along than I thought he would be by now, but I don't think either of those guys I'd plant right in the Marlies right away anyway. I would say, full-time, work on getting that team back to the SHL, call it a day. As much as I like Stenberg, can't help but wonder if NHL teams really let two undersized wingers go 1-2 with a bunch of high-end defense prospects available. Well, they're both 5'11", right? Like we're not talking like 5'8", Johnny Gaudreau with Cole Caulfield too, right? Like we're not talking that. You could just leave the height out of it. Two wingers for the first time in 20 years. 19, right? 2027. For the first time in 19 years, seeing two wingers go 1-2 in the draft. I think you're right. I think there's a much higher percentage chance that doesn't happen. Just statistically speaking, it doesn't happen. I mean, I've been told by a couple of people that NHL teams will move heaven and earth to draft centers. So if that means that we're going to see Caleb Malhotra go 2, I'm okay. I'm open to that. I wouldn't do it, but I'm open to the idea of that being a possibility, a decent possibility. Like, stuff happens in the last 2 weeks of the draft. Like, I want to be very clear. Once June hits, the amount that someone's ranking changes to follow what they are starting to hear from NHL teams is remarkable. Like, you got to start paying attention to that. People who are more connected in the NHL, as the draft starts to approach, and people are sitting back going like, what the hell is this guy doing in your first round? You haven't said a word about this guy until June. Like, what is that all about? It's probably because NHL teams are looking at that player as a very valuable asset, and they're just less tight-lipped about it, right? Which I always find really funny and entertaining. Like, that's how you see guys like, Beckett Seneca in the last month of the year when he hasn't played a game, rocketing up draft boards. It's like, okay, he hasn't played. What could possibly be happening? You're talking to people. So that's something I always urge you to pay attention to. So I'm open to anything. I personally could see defensemen slotting in at 1 this year. For me, I think my first tier and second tier are relatively close. But I mean, I still think that the amount of good that's there in Stenberg's game is hard to ignore, and his success so far. And McKenna's ceiling is enormous. It's humongous. But I mean, if Stenberg ended up going 3rd, 4th, 5th or something, it wouldn't shock me, just because he is a winger and there are limiting factors in his game. I don't think this is a year where the draft order is like 100% set in stone, striated, and it's settled. I don't think that's true at all. Who's the best skater in the draft? Xavier Villeneuve, maybe. Tynan Lawrence. Chase Reed. I don't know. With some people really disliking all levels of Finnish hockey and their coaching and systems, do you think there's a chance players get easily underrated or overlooked because of their wrong coaching styles? Maybe. I mean, I think with Finnish players, I think you just have to understand that, like, Finland has a wheelhouse in terms of style of play, and it's not impossible for guys outside that archetype to succeed. It's possible, but they do have a wheelhouse. They have a type that they like. I don't really think too much about systems and coaching, honestly. My thing is more about like their style of play and how much you can lean into it and how it projects to the higher levels, right? Like Frondell, the other Anton Lundell. Like there was never any doubt he could be a third line NHL center, and he's a pretty good one. Same feeling kind of with Suvanto. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's that they get overlooked. I think we're just in a downtrend or a down cycle for Finland the last couple of years, whereas this year there's a few really good ones. So I think it's more like now there are more players that like sort of check a lot of the boxes that make a lot of sense, that make sense coming out of Finland, right? Like, yeah. And I think some guys in Finland will go elsewhere to play if they're not fitting in with the sort of natural Finnish style. But it's a good question. I don't know the answer for sure. XII has now lost all of their original founders outside of Elon Musk, and as of this month, 7 of those 11 are exiting in the last 11 weeks. They're all done with Elon and XII. I believe it. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I have listened to Patrick Boyle's video about XAI and SpaceX and everything, and it just seems like a disaster. Like it just seems like, I'm not a doomer really when it comes to like financial markets, I would say. Like I think that the whole like so-and-so has predicted 10 of the last 2 recessions or whatever, like that's everywhere all the time. Like people have been saying things are going to explode for years and years and years and years. Like it's always been the case. But you know, it does seem like there are percolating problems with meeting the expectations of the market with a lot of really big companies. Like the sustained growth of these really, really highly valued companies is starting to look really murky. And there's a lot of money flying around. There's a lot of like, I always like to think of the delta, like the difference between the actual money flowing around and the actual money flowing around that is backed by collateral that is wealth, right? Like I get the feeling that there is a lot of wealth, like venture capital, individual wealth. There's a lot of just value that's on paper, and there just isn't enough money actually flowing around to make it make sense long term, right? Like I could tell you that this can of Cottage Springs 0% cherry beverage is worth $1 billion. And it seems like a lot of people out there are going, yes, that is worth $1 billion. Here's $10 million. I own a chunk of that can now. And then 6 months later, I do a better job selling the can, and now it is worth $2 billion. And I go to investors, and they give me $20 million. That's great. The problem is this doesn't make me any money. And at some point, I'm going to need to make some money so that I can make this still worth $2 billion. So what do? I go to the public market and I go public and I go, look at this part of the can I will sell you. The can is worth $10 billion. You don't get to look at the books of what my can is worth, but you can buy this. And everybody clamors because they're like, whoa, look at this. Oh my God. But then the people who actually have the models and the math and everything, they go, are you kidding me? And then over 6 months, this is like worth $100 million, right? Like that's where I think we're at, is like a lot of the SpaceX especially, they're just burning so much money, spending so much money that at some point private people are going, I don't know if I believe you. I don't know. I think this might be a little out of control. $1.75 trillion. Are you sure? And then next thing you know, like it regresses back to whatever, right? But then they have to, but the only way that they can keep it going is going public. So that's why people are saying like a lot of these things, especially with SpaceX, is indicative of like exit liquidity. Like if you put your money into these stocks, you're just giving money to people who know more than you, and they know that it's overvalued and that by eventually it'll regress to a certain point, but they just need that money now to keep the train going, and then hope that they use that money to make the company more profitable and more valuable. So I don't know. Any IPO, I am, unless it is a company that I am very interested in, I'm not touching it. You got to let it settle. You just can't do it. And so I think with all this, everything across the board, it's a little nuts. Does Tinas Koblar have middle upside? Any Leafs prospects in the system have real upside? I mean, I don't know. I would say that Holinka has some fun upside. Maybe Moldenauer. Koblar is probably your third or fourth line guy at best. I like Harry Nancy. They don't have much, man. I'm just thinking of the guys they've drafted, and I mean, Danford is, I don't know about high upside, but he could maybe be in your bottom two pairs. They just haven't drafted very high very often at all, and yeah. Flint Owen Sound first round. Ooh. Go Flint. We know you're crazy, but you're the fun and useful kind of crazy. I know that. I know I'm fun. I try to be fun. We try to have fun here. And I try to be useful. But look, I accepted a very long time ago that I am not like most people. I mean, look at what I'm doing for a living. Look at where I am. Look at what I do. I know some people probably go, what the fudge are you doing, man? But you know what? I am very strange. I'm very different. I'm very odd, and that's fine. And if what's the Frank Reynolds quote? When he's trying to marry Roxy in Always Sunny, it's like, if they don't like it, they don't have to stick around. Truer words never spoken, Danny DeVito. You nailed it. But I don't know. I am useful, I think. Maybe. Kinda. Hopefully. So yeah, I don't know. Have you seen anything on Quentin Musty this season? Honestly, no. Shield the game tape for Schmitz when you tell hopeful fans about him. That's true. Yeah, watch our game tape on Albert Schmitz. No Klepov. He's easily a top 20 prospect. Why? Like, that's going to be whenever someone writes that kind of comment, it's going to be my answer. It's like, you have to explain to me why you think that. Like, I can give you my take on why I don't think Klepov is that high. I mean, Klepov's like 35 on my list. He's right outside the first round. And if he goes in the 20s, I would be fine with it. I just think that his game is limited. I think his game is very offensive zone limited. He's a bit feisty as well, which is nice, but his game is very heavy on get me the puck in the offensive zone, and I'm going to do a lot on my own. And I just don't know how projectable he is. He's a little small. He plays a little small, at least. He tries. But Klepov, I just find, comes and goes a lot. And at 5-on-5, his ability to generate offense is really tricky. He's skilled and he's got a hell of a shot. And he's on the list for a guy I need to see in the near future because I haven't seen him in a while. But yeah, I don't know. I top 20, if you're really optimistic about the pure offense in his game, then so be it. But yeah. Augustus Caesar better. Oh my God. AJ, bro. That nobody asked, bro. Nobody asked you. Nobody asked you about Augustus Caesar, bro. And also, the guy was a genocidal maniac, bro. Was Alexander the Great? No. At least not as much. Will, out of these defensemen for Pittsburgh, who's the best and would fit with a pair? Pickering. With Pickering. Oh, with Pickering. Piperinen, Blale, and Gollier. Probably one of Piperinen or Gollier. Probably. Almost certainly not Blale. Woodcroft. Sure, he could work too. I don't know. I don't know him. With Gritsik out for the season, what are your thoughts on his rookie season? I saw a bit of the Devils this year. I didn't watch nearly as much NHL hockey as I wanted to this year, honestly. I don't know. I would have to go check. I'm trying to remember, by the way, while also hydrating myself, and I can't really do it. I'm sorry. Alexander the Great was not the GOAT. Bro was a chronic alcoholic, and as amazing as accomplishments are, as he thought he was invincible and didn't put a good succession plan in place. He wouldn't be the first military leader to not put a good succession plan in place. Genghis Khan didn't. And that was the question. Nobody's talking about anybody else. And also, I would bet that pretty much everybody at that time in history was probably a chronic alcoholic. I I don't know, man. I feel like a lot of people were drinking a lot back then, and it's yeah, that's I don't know. Am I a fan of Jeff Probst? I don't know, man. I think things are a little bit out of control. But if they're gonna do a twist, the one they did last night was kind of neat. Big if Carroll's becomes the next Matthew Schaefer and is D+1, what will you say? Miracles can happen. Miracles happen once in a while, to quote who did that song back in the day? Miracles happen song. Myra. Whoever that is. What is she doing now? Myra. Mexican singer from Los Angeles. She did Dancing in the Street for the Recess movie. Miracles Happen for the Princess Diaries. She was in Max Keeble's Big Move, but she has not done anything since... Oh, she did a featured artist single in 2020 and an EP in 2016. Before that, she has not been active since the late 2000s. But good song, though. And Princess Bride, good movie. But that's what I would say. I just play that song. Do you have any info on Hayes Hundley, who Toronto just signed to an ELC? I can't find much without subscribing to sites. Big physical guy. I don't know if he's an NHLer. There's a reason Hurlburt chose the CHL over NCAA. I don't know what you're saying, but yeah. Wisconsin at that time is a lot worse than Michigan State was this season. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like about Stramel. Like, Wisconsin tried their best to ruin Charlie Stramel, and Michigan State turned out to be a much better fit. That was what I was saying. Just give me my burrito. Exactly. Thoughts on Sean Burdick? Very big. I don't know. He's very big. He'll get drafted because he's very tall and he skates okay. But I haven't been a huge fan. Flames have taken swings on higher IQ, undersized players. Do you have any favorites like that in the deeper rounds? There's going to be a lot this year, I think. Like Victor Plante, if he's there. I love him. Hell, Mathis Preston might be a late round pick at this point. Who knows? Logan Stewart. I would be very interested in Logan Stewart late in the draft. Adam Valentini. Maybe Landon Hafley late in the draft. Morgan Anderberg. Ivan Fomin. If I had Craig Conroy's phone number, which surprisingly to some people I do not have it, I'd be interested in trading future considerations for a 7th round draft pick and just drafting my 5'8", 140-pound goat Ivan Fomin. Sure. Yeah, Pronman is more connected to NHL teams, so that's why I think his list is very interesting for sure. Villanova's got 6 points in 4 playoff games. Good. That means he's good. Seems like the only league not affected by the NCAA is the Q. It is, though, because a lot of good hockey states have players that can go to Quebec now, right? Like a lot of prep school guys in New England can go to Quebec. I mean, and we've seen that with a few players, or they can go to Nova Scotia or PEI and whatever. Frankly, playing hockey in Halifax and Cape Breton and Charlottetown and Moncton and Quebec, I suppose. I haven't been to as many places in Quebec as I have in the Maritimes. It's pretty sweet, man. Like, that would be pretty cool. So the Quebec League, if anything, like, I think that the CHL leagues across the board have kind of equalized a little bit. Like, I think Quebec got the best selection of improvements, like the New England players. Granted, the WHL gets a lot of really good ones too. But I think they're very affected in Quebec. Your thoughts on Bjork's speed? Are the concerns overblown or a nitpick? I mean, they are there. It's a lot better than it was last year. I'll tell you that. But not everybody in the NHL is fast, and not every fast player is good, right? So you have to take things holistically. And when I watch Bjork, I see if you can't outskate your problems, you have to outstrength and outpass your problems. And I think Bjork does his best in terms of strength, but the real strength is his passing. Like if Bjork can continue to improve the speed with which he's making decisions and do so in the SHL and get stronger on his feet, I also still believe that physiologically there's growth potential for him. And physiologically speaking, there is a correlation between getting bigger and physically developing later in life, and therefore in hockey circles, at least from the research I've been able to dig up, you get quicker. So there's a strong possibility, I think, that Bjork continues to improve there. I think it's a legitimate concern, but again, like I find that people never point out the concerns with certain players, right? Like you never hear really a critical, like real, like concern put forth about the bigger guys in the draft. Right, like the floor projection that is given to certain players. You like, I think there are like, am I concerned about Bjork's long-term projection? A little bit, sure. Am I as concerned about him based on the things that he does well as I am relative to a Carson Carroll's, who I think there's a lot of areas of his game that I also am very concerned about as a top 5 pick. Right? Like if we're talking top 5 pick, am I concerned about Bjork? Sure, a little bit. But I think I have a lot more faith in the issues being worked around than I have about a lot of other players in the draft, right? So I think it is a legitimate criticism, but I just find that like people latch on to, if you see a small player especially, they get laser focused on every problem they have, right? But if you are a physical player or a bigger one or both, then nobody cares about what there might need to be improved, right? Like it just isn't applied very equally in my opinion. So, and I mean, I think you can poke holes in everybody's game on some level. So, you know, you just have to weigh everything holistically. And with Bjork, I mean, he's playing first line center in the SHL and not looking too bad doing it. Even if there were problems, where does he go from here, right? You know, that's the thought I've had about a lot of players over the years. Hagen's was one last year. So many things for him were going right, and he still was kind of struggling a little bit in key areas that were preventing points from going on the board. That it's like, what happens when he gets better, right? Like if the numbers are still good supporting a game where people are questioning him, Lawrence is a perfect example of that. Like if the underlying metrics are supporting a much better amount of output, and he's still, people are devaluing him, like what happens if that's a concern? Like what happens when it improves? That's always where I'm going. Didn't his team not go far in the play? Jesus friggin' Christ, man. Who cares? Like, he's a 17-year-old playing first line center in Sweden as a 5'9" center. Like, listen to the, like, oh my God, bro. Like, who cares? It's a ridiculous job to have, man. Like, the fact that, like, oh man, that must be rage bait. That's bait, man. And it worked. Gee whiz, bro. Like, my God. We're the new Leafs GM. We lost our first because we can't even tank, right? But we get LA's second, which today would be 49. Who are you taking in the mid-second that you think can thrive in Toronto? Xavier Villeneuve. Mathis Preston. Oh, man. I mean, realistically speaking, if a guy like Casey Mutrin is there, I would do that very easily. Maybe if Victor Plant is there, he could be a good one. Adam Golier, I think, could be a good ad. Tommy Blale would be a lot of fun in Toronto in that range. Adam Anderson, Toronto, your uncle, okay, here's what you do, right? Leaf fans, from now on, you remove the extra S from Adam Anderson's last name and you just call him Adam Anderson as if it were anglicized. And you tell your uncle he's from Stouffville. I think every human being in the city of Toronto would love Adam Anderson. Right? Just don't let on that he has 2 S's in his last name and is Swedish, and I bet you that your uncle will love him. So maybe that's what you're getting at, right? Like, maybe that'll work. But that, if they know he's Swedish and they know he has a last name that is definitely Swedish, you might be out of luck. You got to keep that a secret. You got to keep that hidden. And if Adam's watching the show and you're drafted by Toronto, you better change your name, man. Change your name and renounce your passport, because it ain't easy being a good European hockey player in the city of Toronto amongst a lot of fans. It's amazing that AJ is bullying me while also still he's bullying squared. I let him bully me because I have no self-respect. I'm pretty sure it's the bullies who have no self-respect. I think that's the whole point. It's like I hate myself in my life, so I'm going to bully other people and make them sad because then I'll be happy because they're sad. And we live in a bully society these days, and whatever helps you sleep at night, my friend. Whatever helps you sleep at night. Didn't he? Oh, yes. Klepov did lead the OHL in points, and yeah, but that's not an explanation. I could do that. Like, I can Google him too, right? That's the t-shirt. I could Google a hockey player too, you know? Oh, I just said Google and it activated my voice assistant. I would bro, Pavel Brendel's going to hit one of these days, bro. We're going to get Hunter Shinkaruk is going to be elite one of these days. Ryan Murphy is going to come back and dominate the NHL one day. Don't worry. You know, like, that's not an explanation. This comes up every show. Have you had a chance to look at Nikita Sherbakov? Many, many times. Many times. Yeah, I think he's very boring, but has interesting fundamentals, and maybe you could bet on that, but I think he's very, very boring. And I just have not seen a whole lot that really excites me. What's the one thing AJ does to annoy you the most? Oh my God. Probably saying you'll do a thing and then be like, oh, I was too busy playing video games and I didn't do it. That's really annoying. But it doesn't happen all that often. Usually you don't admit that to your colleague, you know? Like, oh, I meant to do it, but I was actually literally having fun not working, you know? Like, oh. Do the Ruck twins have a twin connection that could cause a team to trade for close picks and draft them both together earlier, or are they just decent prospects who happen to be twins? I think they're the latter. I think Liam is an interesting player. I have a lot less faith in Marcus. There's actually a really funny picture that I took yesterday watching him. Where is it? I'll post it. For people who are unfamiliar, one of my favorite things about this community is that we have something in our Discord server called the Do They Score channel. So I'm gonna post this link. Oh, it's too long. Ugh. Link compactor. URL shortening. That's the word I'm looking for. Enter the link here, shorten URL, copy URL, and put it in the chat. There you go. This is Marcus Ruck missing a wide open net hilariously. And I believe this was off of Georgios Pantelis giveaway, I believe. He passed the puck to nobody. It bounced off the boards. Goalie was out of position. Trying to, I don't know. It was something dumb. But the point is that I don't know. I am never, ever, ever going to draft a storyline. If you want a good time where drafting a storyline goes wrong, look at the Toronto Maple Leafs when they drafted 3 guys from the Belleville Bulls in the 1980s, and they were all in the first round. Toronto had 3 first-round picks, and they drafted line mates out of the OHL, and it was an unmitigated disaster. I can't remember what year it is. I think was Rob Pearson one of them? Rob Pearson in the 1989 draft? I think it was Toronto who drafted him. Toronto, they drafted Scott Thornton at 3rd overall. Bill Guerin went 5th. Bobby Holik went 10th. Then they drafted Rob Pearson, and Olaf Kolzig was a first-round pick that year. Adam Foote, Travis Green. Oh, and then they drafted Steve Bancroft, who was not a line mate, but I believe they all played on the Belleville Bulls. Belleville, yeah. So they drafted 3 teammates off the same team in Belleville, and it was a disaster. Now, I'm not saying the Rucks are that, but like just because a draft, just because 2 guys are twins doesn't make them Sedins, right? By the way, there have been other sets of twins in the NHL draft over the last 3 seasons or so. The Grieva twins, the Ostberg twins, a few others, but they don't, they didn't lead their junior leagues in scoring. So I guess they're not, but I don't believe in doing the whole, let's trade a bunch of stuff and get these 2 twins because they're twins. I like Liam. But yeah. AJ, I was told I was annoying in 1st grade, so I decided to lean into it. If I leaned into everything I was told when I was 6, I don't know where I would be right now, bro. When you're 6, that's not generally the age at which you retain personality traits and hold on to them for a long time. But you go off, do what you like. If someone told you you were annoying when you were 6 and you're almost like 25 and you're like, I am good with that from my identity when I was 6, fine, so be it. What if Boston in round 1 of 2026 drafts Villeneuve with the Leafs pick and Preston with their own pick? It would be hilarious. It would be very funny. The comment about Hurlburt was agreeing with you on the comment about being careful. Yeah, no, I know. I just didn't understand it first. Alex Vlasic, thoughts? Interesting defensive defenseman. Again, I remember when he was drafted, there is truth to big, good skating defensemen being good insulators. I think that's perfectly logical now. I was doubtful at the time, but now I get it. It's why I have guys like Golier in my 1st round. I love Hawkinson. I really like Piperinen. Who else? Like, he's not super big, but like Liskey. Macbeth isn't big either, but like he has good range and some decent skill. It's a good time. Highest possible ceiling between Svensk, Piperine, and Golier, Hawkinson, and Nala Lowry? Probably Svensk. Svensk's upside is so high, they're playing him on the wing a lot this year in Liga. So there's that. And yes, I know, I'm easy to rage bait sometimes, all right? I make a living putting my opinion out there and getting called stupid all the time. Now my producer is starting to call me stupid repeatedly. So, I voluntarily tend to make my life pretty miserable. So it in turn makes it easy to piss me off about something. The crazy thing about the draft since Dubas was hired is we draft one of the 3 players I want, Jaeger, Howe, and Zanal. So having said that, Preston, Villeneuve, or Hawkinson, I have Villeneuve highest out of all of them, and I love him dearly. Yeah. Didn't Toronto love Matt Sundin? The trick is to be massive and good at hockey. That's also true. Yeah, that's true. Sundin bucks the trend a little bit. But I believe at first, I'm sure that was a bit of a controversial move. I was like 1 when they acquired Sundin. But Sundin, also, you have to keep this in mind. I don't think your uncle in Aurora would have really liked a Swede with a round helmet, because he did wear the round Jofa for a while, and he might have been bullied into wearing a normal person's helmet. For whoever said I was also strange and unusual, I did wear those round helmets when I was a kid, those round Jofa helmets. I wore one of those too. God help us if Jaromir Jagr came to Toronto with one of those helmets and everybody would have lost their mind. Maybe he'd be bullied into wearing a Cooper helmet then too. I love my life, so fake news. Okay. Yeah, Jordan Schroeder's another one. Yep, Jordan Schroeder's another one. That's for sure. Yeah, Angelo Esposito, yeah. McKinnon misses wide open nets too. Yeah, I mean, I'm being a little bit reductive. It's a bit of a joke. But it's still, I mean, it's the thing too, like I've said this on so many shows now, but watching Medicine Hat a few times in the last few weeks, it's like just adding Andrew Basha to that team halfway through the year is so dumb. Like this just so, like he is so hard. He's impossible to stop at this level, and it elevates everybody he plays with. And like and it's almost a 1-to-1 correlation that people started ranking the Rucks really really high and really paying attention to pre and post Basha being on that team, and they play together quite a bit. I think there's a correlation there. Also some causation maybe, but that's something you also have to keep in mind. These guys were like maybe second round picks, especially Liam, for a long time. Then a really fast, high offense, high octane, skilled play driver comes to town, and everybody ends up scoring a cajillion points, more than they already were. Remember when they drafted the hometown kid Marner? That's true. Yeah. The Bulls should never have moved. Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, the Belleville Bulls were pretty cool. But I don't know, making it work in Belleville, pretty tough, I think. If Boston and Toronto's picks are 15 through 20 and they take the Ruck Twins, the hockey gods won't turn them into the Sedins and haunt the Maple Leafs fan base. Well, if they do that, then yes. If they do that, then yes. Stajan and Wellwood, I think, both played for the Bulls, and Toronto drafted both. Oh, yeah, sure. Cool. Do you guys need couples counseling? Yeah, exactly. Is drafting defensive defensemen risky? I feel like defense at junior is not necessarily a good indicator of being a defender in the NHL, or am I terribly mistaken? Well, I'll tell you this, right? One of the things I did, and I made a presentation about this with the assistance of NHL analytics people, and I'm sitting up because I know I have conviction in this. I did some math and report for the Ottawa Hockey Analytics Conference in 2021, 2022. And what I did was I essentially tried to find, I took all the data that I had tracked of defensemen over the years, put it into a big database, I went to Evolving Hockey, with their permission, of course, scraped their data for defensive value, and basically looked at where all of these really good defensive value players in the NHL come from in the draft. And there were as many in the top, I believe, 50 defensive value players in the NHL, I believe, maybe 100. There were more players that were never drafted in that range than were in the second round, right? And first round picks, it was close. So, and I watching the draft over the years, like, I am pretty sure that fundamentally evaluating good defensive players and valuing them properly is still something I think the NHL is not getting right. Like, the NHL seems to think, especially outside the first round, if you're big and you can skate okay, we'll turn you into a guy who can play 10 minutes, and if we do that, it's a win. Right? Which maybe that's true. You play in the NHL because a coach says you do. I can make my draft pick look awesome if I play him for 20 minutes a night, right? And I go, oh, you can't trust the analytics. He's a 20-minute-a-night defenseman for us. You can't trust the analytics. Who cares if we're losing? We've done a great job drafting. Look at all these 21-year-old defensemen we have on the team. We suck, but like, whatever. Like, I can do that. But when I look at the draft and I look at defensemen, number one, I think that really good defending is really hard in the NHL, but I think you have to be like elite level defensive defenseman to project as a really high draft pick, which is why I have Verhoff a little bit lower, which is why I have Carroll's quite a bit lower, which is why I have Dax and Rudolph like not even on the list really. Like I just see players who, when I see them at the junior level and how they play that position, it just doesn't look like an NHL player at all. Carroll's kinda, like Carroll's I think could get there for sure, and that's why he's in my first round, but I just don't believe it. And then I watch a guy like Gustafsson and I definitely see it. Like definitely see the good side of it. I think that, again, the CHL is not a particularly challenging league for very, very high-end players. And again, I think that when you look at the World Junior teams that Canada has put forward for a number of years now, they are the team that is supposed to outscore their problems because their goaltending isn't very good and their defensive play is also not very good. And the defensive defensemen they bring are physical guys that are big but can't play with the puck to save their life and can't make decisions quickly. And you get pinned and you die. That's the correlation to me. So drafting a defensive defenseman, again, like go back in the draft and look for the number of times a defenseman was drafted as a jack of all trades or as a defensive defenseman in the first round. Tell me how many hit. Sanderson, maybe, I would say is one. But Sanderson's offensive game was kind of there. Like he was more of a two-way guy. I'm talking like you're drafting for pure defensive value. Ones that were drafted in the first round that you can look back on and go, wow, we really nailed it. I think that I think about the sport, and I am much more agnostic about what type of thing works in the face of looking at players and going, I trust that this is going to work because I've seen them play. I see what they're good at. I see what their deficiencies are. But when it all comes out in the wash, and that's what this is for, when it all comes out in the wash, do I trust them to do this type of thing in the NHL based on how the NHL is? Like, that's always what I'm thinking, right? Like, that's why I have this. And that's why I kind of raise an eyebrow at people who don't think that what I do is necessary or don't think that what I do is useful or can be replaced with pure data systems or whatever. But by and large, I think you can get defensive players, but I think a lot of good defensive players go undervalued for one reason or another. They're not physical. They're not 6'4", like, look, I know this is a meme at this point, but one of the most impressive defensive players I've seen this year is Braden Thompson. It's a crazy statement to make, but he is an elite level skater who plays 8 minutes maybe at even strength and no power play time for Youngstown this year, who are a very good team. Like, he is the third priority undersized defenseman on that team. So he's not getting any opportunity, but he's, I think, their best shot differential player this season. And when you watch him actually defend, he is extremely mobile and he closes gaps so quickly, and he doesn't overcommit physically, but he will if he has to. On retrievals, like, his ability to leverage his teeny tiny little body and resist pressure is extremely good. Like, I that's kind of why I feel like in my pitch to Keith Pelly, I need to pitch this guy. If you like Vinny Baloney, check this guy out. And it's a long-term bet, but in terms of how a player defends in hockey, in terms of like players who prevent the puck from being in your own end, which in my opinion is probably the ideal defenseman, he's a very, very good example. He's small, but in a way, for the type of defenseman that he is, he's got a lower center of gravity and his skating ability is remarkable. That's a nice little combination. It might be curious. That could be fine. Could he check? I mean, he tries. Where are we here? Thompson. Braden Thompson. Yeah, like he hits guys at a rate that is, let's see, 4.34 hits per 60 minutes is not particularly high, but who has less than that? Let's see. The word hits. There you are. Oh, for crying out loud. There you are. Let's see. Who hits less than 4.5 times per 60 minutes? And work from the top. Chase Reed is less physical. Ivar Stenberg, Tynan Lawrence, Xavier Villeneuve. Well, that all makes sense. Adam Anderson, Nikita Klepov. Gavin McKenna has not thrown a hit in my sample at all. But he's not a forward. He's not a defenseman. Of defensemen, Reed, Golier, Sherbakov, Blale. Dravetsky, Macbeth, Vanacek. So he doesn't really, but not significantly less than a lot of other highly regarded players. So I look at a guy like Thompson and I go, you know what? I bet if he played 20 minutes a night on that Youngstown team, he might sneak his way onto the end of a draft board somewhere. But because Youngstown is Youngstown, he's kind of stuck there for now. But I remember watching him last year in AAA in the US too, and he was awesome. So that's an interesting one. How many minutes does he play less than those guys? Well, I don't. Stop it. Those numbers are scaled per 60 minutes, my friend. Like, yes, he's played less than those guys, but I still have like 50 minutes of 5-on-5 time of his. You know, it's not a terrible per minute sample. Or per shift sample, I should say, not minute. But that's what I'm saying. Like, the point for me is like defending is not fully well understood at this age, I don't think. And it creates a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like, and there's a lot of that in hockey. A lot of self-fulfilling prophecies, a lot of anecdotes, a lot of cliches that don't get challenged consistently. And the second that there's a weakness in that challenge, right back to the cliches, right? So I don't know, but the data is not particularly favorable by going, this player would be very defensively valuable. Caden Gooley is a good example, but he's the only one I can really think of that the offense is a black hole, but the defense is really good. This year, I think guys like Gustafsson are a very good example, Håkansson, Pipparinen, but I don't think the ceiling is particularly high on those guys at the end of the day. But for what they are, I think they're very good. How big is your biggest guy in the NHL draft that's your favorite? Ta'amu, I think. I think Ta'amu. Like, I really love the last game I saw of him. Schmitz is also pretty big. Gustafsson is pretty big. Verhoff, they're all pretty similar size. Like, really down the board, though? Yeah, it might be Ta'amu. Anderson. I like Burzkowns a lot, too. Like, Burzkowns is a guy who, in my sim, like, for team scouting picks, he ends up on the team a lot. Which surprises me. I feel like he's a guy that someone's going to pick, but, you know, like, in terms of board work for a big guy, I don't know. I think there's a really interesting player there. What do you think of Chicago's overagers in the CHL, Vanacker and Pridham? I like Vanacker for what he is. Like, I think Vanacker could be a top 9 sort of physical, simple finisher. He's got some skill. He can go to the net. He's big. He can play on his feet. He's an interesting player. Pridham, I don't know if he's an NHL player, but he could be a good player for Rockford for a while, and who knows. Do you have a top 10 list for best names in the draft? Alan Shaikh-Lislamov for sure is up there. Brek Liskey is the most Brek Liskey name out there. I've got 2 Malcolm Ystrins in here. How's that possible? I think that might be an error. I like that we had Ivan Ryabkin last year, and now we've got an Yelize Ryabikin coming out of Russia this year. That's pretty fun. He's pretty good too. Doman Christoph Shongoth, the Hungarian. That's another good one. Love that name. Oh yeah, that for some reason, it's just scrolling around my list here. It reminded me that I need to go look at more. Benjamin Kazet-Ayat, or whatever his name is, the Val d'Or defenseman. He's been on my list for a while. I'll write that down now on my little whiteboard here. See? I do write these things down. Cossetteayyotte, I believe is his name. Okay. There. If you're the Sens at 32, do you have a 3 available of Ruck, Rubrick, and Shrenko? Who's the best fit and why? if I had to pick between those three, I might go Shrenko. But for the Sens, I might think Rubrek even. Like, I think Rubrek, if you can program him right, you might get something really cool out of him. Parenko is not as projectable, I don't think, as a floor, but he's very smart, a very mobile skater, pretty good on the puck, some high-end skill. I would go Parenko. You know what? I think I would just go Parenko personally. And yeah, Liam Ruck up at this point will probably be gone. You have your choice to survive on a desert island, Rizzo or AJ. Well, I'm going with AJ because I know that we would get along fine, especially once the starvation kicked in. That might quiet him down a little. But like the Riz God, I know going in that he doesn't do any work. Like, he doesn't care. So the survival side is probably going to be all on me, and I don't want that. At least with AJ, if I was like, hey man, can you help me build a fire and help me gather firewood? He'd be like, yes. And if the answer is no to that, then I'm killing him with a coconut. I'm just going to kill him, because I can't have that. But I at least have the known quantity that there is a greater chance of him being like, yes, I understand the situation we are in and I will help you. And I think he knows that. Rizgod, I don't know. Slavin, Edward Vlasic, Weber, and Suter never won a cup. The last top defensive defenseman to win a cup was probably Chalmerson when he was 2 or 3. Your best defenseman should be two-way or offensive. Well, you need good defensive players, but like, I don't think there's a formula, right? Like, I mean, you look at like, you could argue that back in the day, like, look at the really great defensive teams in history, like the Devils in the 90s, right? Like, they had Brian Rafalski, who is 5'10", I believe, and like an offensive defenseman. But they had a lot of other guys, right? But you need a mix. You need defensemen, especially in 2025. You need defensemen who can score, in my opinion. And if it were up to me, all of my defensemen would have offensive ability. Why wouldn't you, right? Why not have 5 guys who can score? You got to have some guys who can defend. But this game is a team sport. I think if you have a team that is constructed in such a way where you can go, this defenseman is Xavier Villeneuve. 95% of the time, I don't have to worry about him. And that 5% of the time, I want to hold on to my seat and cry and cry and cry. But I've also got these other guys on the team. And when they're on the ice, they're going to move heaven and earth to make that 5% of the time a lot more manageable, right? It's going to feed on itself and hopefully work out for the best, right? And you got to have a team constructed with that in mind. Not, oh, we have Shea Weber, we're going to lose the Stanley Cup. Like, that doesn't add up to me. And also Shea Weber was like a two-way guy. I feel like he had like 1 billion goals and scored a bunch, right? But like, I see what you're saying though. Like, your point kind of stands. Like, I don't think if you build your team strictly with defensive leaning guys top to bottom, you're going to win. Look at Toronto. Like, look at what they've tried to do to Morgan Riley over the last few years. They went, your defensive numbers aren't very good. We should probably make you a good defensive defenseman. And it turned him into a nightmare, right? Like, you got to know what you got and you got to build a team, Was it their fault they lost the cup? Kind of. And I forgot the year Nashville shipped Weber away. They went to the Stanley Cup final with PK Subban. That was funny. What do you think of Breck Liskey? Really good. Liskey is where? He's 40 on my list, I think. Right? Let me see. He is number, 40 on my list. Oh, sorry, 39 now. Just a really good all-around defenseman. I really like him. He plays with like an energy and a pace of his game that I think projects really, really well. And the offense, I don't worry about too much on a team like that for him. His defensive value is pretty high, though. I like Liskey quite a bit. Yeah, the interesting storyline you mentioned with Chase Reed. Before he got opportunities, he got cut. Now he's going to go top 3. It's going to be interesting to see because his turnaround shocked me last year, going from the NAHL and being a guy to a point-per-game defenseman in the OHL, literally immediately playing 25 minutes. Either the team that let him go was the dumbest group of people imaginable, or the OHL is really taking a step in the wrong direction. I don't think it's that extreme. And I do like Chase Reed quite a bit. But I'm still quite surprised with how effective he has been. And it's kind of spooking me a little bit because it's not like he's a bad player, but I just finished the report on him and like, he's weird, man. It's a weird year. And I will be very curious 5-10 years from now to look back and go, all right, I thought this about this guy and this was what happened. You know, it's going to be interesting. A lot of misconceptions like that are why a guy like Jordan Spence was horrendously underused until late this season. Exactly. Like Jordan Spence, a great example. Eric Brandstrom. I will, if nothing changes in my life, I will, on my deathbed, my beloved partner who hopefully is still alive. I mean, I don't know. I don't think she wants to see my demise, but you know, in a positive sense, if she's with me and it's a peaceful thing and it's whatever, and the last words out of my mouth will probably be, Eric Brandstrom was robbed of an NHL career and then I die. Because like you look at his numbers, you look at his trajectory. If he were 2 inches taller, he probably would be on the Ottawa Senators and running the show, or Vegas would never have traded him. You know, I mean that's one example, but yeah, I strongly believe that the way defensemen are evaluated based on the type of defenseman that a lot of NHL people try to push, I just don't think I look at Xavier Villeneuve and go, if this guy is not a top 10 pick, then the NHL is making the same mistake they constantly say, whoops, we messed up on that one. Like looking back and looking at like a Lane Hudson almost going in the 3rd round. It's like, boy, how do we miss that one? I mean, even I'm a little surprised with how good he's gotten, how quickly he's gotten, but like it didn't take a rocket scientist to know that he probably should have been gone in the 1st round, but he's 5'8" at the time. So like it's, you know, and even his defense, I think, has gotten a lot better this year from where it was last year. Stop calling out Levshinov. I didn't do that once. Did I? I guess indirectly, but yeah, Jordan Spence, great pickup. Ollie Walrus is a good one on the list. Yeah, I agree. Ollie Walrus is a good name. Would you say Ken Johnson is a good buy low trade target right now, or is he just not very good? I mean, I would think about it. I could pick him up. I could snag him if he's cheap. I would buy him. And like the skill is still there. You can still see with Ken Johnson that the skill is still there. He's still like it's you know, like there's part of me that kind of feels bad because I was a doubter of Ken Johnson when he was a draft eligible. But it wasn't meant to be like I hope he fails. Like it doesn't make me happy that a lot of the things I thought were there are still a problem, you know, or still holding him back. But like I still would believe in the actual I feel like he's still actually in the conversation as like a really skilled player that you can buy low on, and maybe a fresh start would be good for him. I don't know. Who are the guys you dislike this year who you would have liked in the past? What about the inverse? Guys you like now who you would have liked before? That's a great question. I would say guys like Ryder Cali, guys like Hawkinson or Gollier or Jackson Cover. Like, I think the big thing that I've tried to think about a lot more is what just getting a little bit stronger and faster could do to a player. Because that's the ultimate goal. Like, what if this player and their fundamental ability just gets a little better, right? Like, if I had my way and I'm not, I think the big thing that changed, and I don't know about specific players, but like, I think the big things that have changed are thinking a little bit less about what the player is now and trying to build a better, more convincing case of like, right, but in the next 3 years, what if their skating improves under our system? What if their skill improves under our system? What if they put in the work in the gym, gain muscle without losing a step, and get stronger? Like, what could be unlocked in their game from there, right? That's a big thing. The other thing is I still am working on this, but appreciating a player's dynamic ability. So like you got to be able to play really quickly for sure. That's like step one. I think it's more important to be able to make plays and make plays happen quickly than it is to slow the game down and be able to sort of manage the game at a slower level. Like I think it's much harder to do that well and then speed things up and learn that than it is speed up or have a lot of speed and then learn to sort of slow things down. But you got to have a willingness to try that and learn it and slow things down a little bit. So guys that are like that are, definitely sticking out a little bit more to me. I mean, there are guys in the past, in terms of guys, like the things that I might have liked before that I don't like as much now, like a guy like Hurlburt comes to mind. Mikey Burchild is another one. Like I still have these guys ranked, but I just have doubts. Like a Yaroslav Fedosiev, like I have him ranked, but I'm not over the moon about him. And I feel like a few years ago, if I saw the skill and the finishing ability, I might be more interested. There are a lot of other guys though. I think the more common thing are players that I would not have liked before and like now, rather than players that I like don't necessarily like now that I would have liked in the past. I think it's more that like the floor on that has kind of caught up in my mind. But it's a really good question. And I think the other thing too is like the types of defensemen. I think the big thing for me is the adjustment with defensemen. Like I think beforehand I would set aside a lot of defensive gaps and trust that the offense and the skating ability could make it work. And I just don't think that that's as doable now, which is why I have guys like Piparinen in the first round. I think it's a reasonable spot to have Carroll's based on his defensive ability. Hawkinson, Golier, Svensk is the one that I would still believe in, even though the defensive part of the game is still a problem. But I just think he's so skilled and such a great skater that like I still would rather work around it and take a chance. But yeah, like it's why I have Reed a little bit lower. And yeah. But like guys like Soderberg, maybe in a few years ago, maybe Ludwig Soderberg would have been really high on my list and everyone would be like, what are you talking about? And I probably would regret it. But I still really like him. So it's not like I'm off the board with those guys. I'm off the boat, but I think different types of players I find I'm attributing a lot more value to in the last few years. Is this your second round weak or strong? I mean, it depends. I think there's a lot of universes where it looks really good because a lot of guys found jobs. But I think in a lot of universes, they don't develop enough and they don't get there, unfortunately. Yeah, no, Riz God, not the Rizzler on the desert island. Have you seen AJ Francisco? I like AJ Francisco. He's fun to watch. I think he could be a good college defenseman. He kind of gives me vibes like I don't know, like what Ryan Ufko was like at this age. And he develops quite well. I don't know about NHL player, but he's quite a good defenseman in the AHL, and he was a great college defenseman. With Francisco, I just don't know if it's quite enough. He's flirted with my watch list off and on since my last ranking. Something like that. I don't know. I go back and forth on him. I think of all of the defensemen on that team, he's the most fun to watch. But I don't know if I would go out of my way to be drafting him. Max Plant, Eric Polkamp, and TJ Hughes just selected as Hobie finalists. That's interesting. Okie dokie. I gotta think it's gonna be Plant. He's been so good this year. Oh yes, new YouTube member. Thank you very much. Welcome aboard. It's good to have you. Do you think the type of player Rubrek is would complement Kindle, and who would of left-hand defenseman complement Brunick? Well, I mean, I don't really think Brunick is all that great. At least not right now. I mean, Villeneuve. I mean, you could play Rubrek with Kindle, but I don't think I would do it. I also don't really like drafting guys to be like, we think he'll play with player X, right? Because tomorrow you might get an offer for Ben Kindle and it'll revolutionize your team. Remember when people thought Timmy Liljegren was a good defenseman? He is a good defenseman. That's rage bait. All right, let's get out of here. I got to run. Who's your 3 highest rated goalies? Borachev, Rybkin, Yermolenko, and Trable. Those 4 are all really good. Lysell too. But actually, you know what? Borachev, Rybkin, Trable, Lysell, Yermolenko. There's 5. I make the rules. Been a while since I've been able to catch a stream. Have you missed any summer camp stories or Will lore? No. I don't have that many summer camp stories, at least not that I remember. I remember a kid locked me in an outhouse once, and I broke my way out by breaking the door. And then I ran through the summer camp looking for him and found him. And then I remember kicking him in the shins as hard as I physically could. And then I think he pinched me really hard. But I definitely kicked him in the shin really hard for locking me in an outhouse. Troy Terry, 50 games straight with no hits. Who needs hits? Exactly, right? Who fits best late in the first round for Carolina, assuming they keep the pick? Whoever was the best player when they were 15 that people are forgetting about. I'm half joking. But realistically speaking, I mean, depends on who's there. I don't know. I mean, a guy like Cullen or Suvanto or I don't know. They'll have a lot of options though. I always feel like I know what Carolina's doing and then I don't. Do you think Daxon Rudolph's going to join in that Smits, Verhoff, Curls, Reed tier by the other out? No, I don't think so. Thoughts on Command, quite high. He's very good on his feet, very, very skilled, very fun to watch. I just don't know if his game is projectable to NHL. Like he's great until he's under pressure, and then I think things kind of fall apart. But he is on the list for doing a game in the near future. So you can ask me again in a little bit. Schmidt is second on the Thunderbirds in goals. He's played 30 less games. Yeah, that makes sense because he's really good. Do you think Wyatt Cullen's underrated considering the injury history? I mean, I'd say he's kind of properly rated. I really believe in him. I think there's a ton of upside there. He's super, super young. His playmaking vision is ridiculously good. It has that. He has that like next level vision and ability to slip passes through lanes and stuff that you just don't see coming. And that's rare. That's pretty hard to find. And he's really good on his edges. I would really want him to get quicker and really want him to be a better straight line skater. But as an offensive playmaker, I think he's got a lot of upside. 11% of Bobby McMahon's career goals have been scored with Seattle. Yeah, well, why can Toronto find guys like Trevor Moore and Bobby McMahon every 5 years, but can't draft players that useful over the same span with their mid to late picks? I mean, that's a great question. It's a great question, but you know, on one side it's more pro scouting, and on the other it's more amateur, right? Like they signed those guys, and I think it's also like it's easier to do that in a way because you know what you're getting, right? Like when they sign a Trevor Moore, they're like, well, we know he's going to go on the NHL, in the AHL. We know what he's going to be able to do and blah, 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 blah. McMahon, I mean, I don't think anybody expected Bobby McMahon to be this, to be what he was. I don't know. It's a really good question, though. Yeah, I don't know. It's a really, really good question. But I think a lot of teams miss on their late round picks, though, because they bet on an enormous development curve. Like, it's incredible how often NHL teams, I did the math after the draft last year, but like, it's incredible how often teams will just draft the big guys and go, they're going to do this, right? It's going to be exponential. They're going to grow. They're going to catch up. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. And wouldn't it be great if we had a 6'8" third line center who had 7 points in their draft year and now they're Brian Boyle, right? Like, it's like, okay. But you're betting, you know, like you got yourself Caleb Lawrence instead, right? Like, cool. But this, even if they go here, it's like the NHL's still up here, man. And you skipped on some guys that might be like down here. You know, it's just about the odds, right? And I think a lot of teams take much bigger risks than they think they do. You know, it's like when it's like buying stock in a speculative company that makes no money.
It's like, sure, you might hit a home run, and that would be great. But the math generally isn't in your favor. And even if your chances are 2% of great success, there are a lot of other places you could look where your success still might not be great, but it might be 4%. And that's double, So you just have to find a way to sort that through. But if you're signing free agents, you can look at a player and go, I can identify that you could do this on our AHL team right now, and from there, who knows? All it is a phone call, right? And you're called up to the NHL, and boom, I look smart. I think picking after top 15, it makes sense to look for complementary players. Yes, I agree, but it's more about specific, like, I think that in the draft, your priority should always be trying to find the guys that bring the rarest traits to the team. And I think that's why I end up so out of whack with a lot of people, is I look for the stuff that is hardest to do in the NHL well. And in my opinion, that's to compete. like guys who just want to win more than the other team. I think that is something that can't be found in production data and is really hard to evaluate in data, period. But when you see it. And in the data, you want to find guys that do that, or ideally drive great results somewhere that you can go, I think that this is going to be a game-changing thing in the NHL in some way. Physically, speed-wise, playmaking-wise, scoring-wise, defensively, goaltending, whatever. I don't know. Whatever you want. But for me, like at every given pick, my thing, I am not really thinking about the team. I'm thinking, who am I going to find the most value out of doing something? Because if I draft really well, not all these guys have to play on my team. It gives me ammunition to go 2 years from now and say, I don't know if we have a room for this college guy that we really like and we drafted in the 4th round. We'll trade him for a third line center, or a guy we need, right? We need that kind of thing. And so it makes your life a lot easier. Whereas if you go, well, we drafted this guy because we thought he would be a really good fit with our guy that we drafted last year, and it turns out that we skipped out on a lot of good players. Like, that's the last thing you want, right? So for me, like, I see where you're coming from. It's just I look at the draft as like, you are trying to draft guys that check off as many boxes as possible for a good NHL player, a very valuable one. Not just aiming for something abstract, right? Just who are the guys that check as many boxes as possible. Oh my God, we've been going almost 3 hours. Oh geez. All right, let's get out of here. Jake Gardner played too many NHL games for me to believe that good until under pressure isn't a recipe for success. Pretty much, yeah. That's true. But yeah. Thoughts on Hurlburt dropping into the 23-26 range? It's possible. I mean, if he goes to the U18s, if USA Hockey will accept him, he probably scores a bunch there. He pops 7 goals on Norway, then look out, he's going first overall. Does Utah have a top 5 prospect pool for you? Let's see. I mean, mathematically, I don't believe so. They are 13th. But, I mean, when you look at the specifics, they do look pretty good. I mean, I have a lot of guys on this group that I like. Simashev, Iginla, Boot. I really like Daniil Boot. They got Ludwig Johnson, my boy. But I think they still have, I mean, they haven't really bottomed out so much. I like their goaltenders. Hrabel, Tallinn, all good. Kachkachenko's kind of fun. Bit of a nut job, but he's fun. Yeah. I don't know about top 5, but they're doing all right. They're doing just fine. That's why I'm asking you, not other people who comment. But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think like it's a fair thought experiment. But yeah, especially for Pittsburgh, because like, yeah, you've gotten a lot younger, you've had a lot of good stuff, but you're not done. And so you may as well keep casting a pretty wide net and see what shakes out, right? Like, that's just kind of my read on it. All right. Well, that's going to be it. Thanks very much for coming. I got to get out of here. I got to do a bunch of stuff before the end of the day, but this was fun. Thanks for coming. We'll be back Monday night. Eat at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is no April Fool's joke again. You can check out Scouching.ca for a subscription or join our YouTube membership program where you'll get access to our videos as early as they're done. You'll get a couple of more over the weekend probably. We are also offering data tools for drafted and undrafted prospects. Plenty of cool stuff to check out. And so, yeah, welcome aboard to all the people who've joined up in the last week. It's a lot of fun to see you all here. See you around. Monday night, 8 p.m. We'll be back. Check out our game tapes. Check out our Scouching reports. They are all pretty good. It's just going to be Monday night. Okay, great, cool. You can bully me remotely. And we'll talk later. Okay, bye.